What is happening, everybody? I hope you've had a good...
Back in like 2005, something like that.
I think my first con was so good. It's Friday Junior.
It's Friday Junior, it's podcast day, it's payday.
And if you come out, do it electrically. Doesn't matter how you feel about the situation.
My name is Raph.
Always before you start the podcast because we just want to talk about it. We want to talk about music and just share those stories and experience.
This is my co-host Carl, aka the Beer Buddy. He is hailing you.
This sort of weird era where they're sort of right in that post-grunge.
Look, you're fighting the good fight in today's world. My war was fought 40 years ago, really.
We are the two dudes who talk music, and we are here. Hey, I'm too quick on that air horn button, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, that is amazing. I love every second of it, dude. Fantastic. We are recording.
You got all your scenes set up?
I do.
Perfect. Alrighty. What is happening, fella?
How you going, bud?
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit sad.
I was
Just got done watching the wrestling. Rhea Ripley had to surrender the WWE Women's title due to injury, which I'm a little bit sad about. It's still real to me, damn it. But I am also excited. I'm also excited because for those who are watching this on release day or the day after, or even the morning of the day after that, this weekend, it's fucking Metal United Down Under weekend.
It is.
It is Metal United Down Under weekend. There is so many gigs going on this weekend.
Oath.
An insane amount. I'm going to see if I can turn something up there from
Your
that.
boys at I'm
it's
at two. I'm
crazy.
at two of them. So there's one at Helston Agricultural School. I think that's been moved though, so just keep an eye out for that one. Piefly are playing at that one, and then we have the
Huge.
one at Camden, Camden Sporties as well.
Yeah.
So I'll be at
There
that one
is-
as well. I'll be getting there a bit later, but I will be there. And there's a
There
massive
is
prize.
several shows happening, all like dozens of shows happening all across Australia, all on Saturday night. Make sure you
Pretty
get out
bonkers.
there and support Australian rock and metal music this weekend. These shows organised by our friends over at Metal Ruse it's a great time. It's an amazing effort, and it's 10 years of Metal United Down Under. So if you make some time this weekend, I'm telling you, make some time this weekend. Go out to one of these fucking shows because you're going to have a blast. I'm going to try and get down to Mansfield to see our good buds in Sin Soto and Piston Fist.
Oh
They're playing
yeah,
at Mansfield Tavern.
they're heading out
good
my way
memories there.
soon. Piston Fist.
Yeah, oh, well, there you go. You'll have to
They're
make
heading
a
out to
make an
I know they're
appearance.
playing in Wollongong.
Ooh,
Playing in
make
Wollongong,
it-
so it's not too
time
far.
to make the trip. Time to make the trip.
Yeah, I'm gonna
That'll
have
be
to
good.
drive
But
down
yes,
there.
if you're catching this on the day of release or the day after, make sure you get out this weekend. Go and support those incredible bands that are playing at all of the Metal United Down Under shows. But mate, let's get to it today. Let's get into the reason. Who have you got for us today? You organised this one for
I
us
did
today.
organise this one, and these guys are a little bit special to me because they are once again the epitome of why Australian progressive metal is so fucking awesome. These guys get it. They put on the show. I did some filming for them recently, which was freaking awesome. They just incorporate so many different styles and so many different instruments, and it's all changed up through the set, which is awesome. They use a Lebanese like guitar thing, and they really hit home with that. It's just something really special. So tonight we got Ross from T-Rex Autopsy. Bud, how are you going?
I'm fucking great, mate. Mr. Beer Buddy Kyle, thank you for having me.
No,
Very-
so good to see you.
Very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. Very
Man,
kind words to you.
you guys have been busy. You just announced that a new album is coming out.
We do.
I just saw that you guys got the new...
Yes,
Okay.
let's get a good look at that T-shirt.
Yeah, give us a look at that T-shirt.
This is the new T-Rex Autopsy shirt. It's going to be our standard skeleton one.
Yeah, nice.
We've got a couple of others that are coming in as well. We've got the Heavy Metal Awesome Sandwich one that's going to come in the black, and it's going to have where the fuck's the mayo on the back of it in red as well.
Yes.
And then we've got a couple of other shirts as well. So shirt designs, we're just sourcing like a couple of other vendors to be able to do it through, so we can get a larger list.
I mean, look, here's the thing, right? You can these days you can easily have a design that you sell at the shows and have a bunch of the rest on drop shipping.
That's right. That's right.
Like,
And it's definitely that's something that I'm considering. The big thing that was what I wanted to be able to make sure and do is, with everything that we've done in our terms of our merch, was making sure that we tested the materials and we found something that we liked. We wanted to get a lot of feedback. We didn't want to like just mass produce something and then sell the shit out of it and it's fucking shit, right?
yeah,
The first couple of shirts that we got, we were using some Gildan brand, like the Gildan brand, and it was rough and it was coarse and it wasn't actually like that nice of a material. So we're going out. And, obviously we're trialing the products as well for whether or not we want to wear it. But I got this. When I got this today, I was like, oh, this sits fucking perfect. It's like a nice cotton blend. It's so now we've got the source in terms of the material, the shirt that we want to use. So then that way that anything that we're actually selling out, that people are going to be able to wear with pride for one,
Yeah.
but then also enjoy wearing it, because the worst thing is getting a t-shirt that you hate to wear but you love the look of.
Yes.
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
And they're
And I
not
mean,
going to
look,
last.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the other thing.
But I mean, look, once you've found the right sources for that kind of stuff, right? Like I said, it's something that is a lot easier to do these days. Is if you've got a few designs in the pocket and you think you're going to sell pretty well, you do one design, you get however many you're going to get, and that's it. You tell people, you do that, and then from then on they can still get it, but only by buying it online. Right, so
Yeah,
that way
yeah.
you don't have to maintain stuff. And once you sell out most of that one, then you get your second design printed, and again, same thing. You cycle through that one, and that way there's always something new there. And then
For
after
sure.
you've done that a couple of times, you can go bam. Well, here's the drop shipping, here's the web store, all our old designs on there. If you want to get them, you can get them, etc. And you can take them away that way.
Yeah.
But because I mean, having the outlay these days to do lots of merch is
It's
hideous,
tough.
right?
It's
It's tough.
expensive, and I don't think people really understand until they actually get into the cost
Yeah.
side of it. A lot of what we were producing before in terms of the merch side of things was obviously all at our own expense. It was a little bit of money from gigs that we might have made money from, but then the money that we're making from gigs we're putting back into production and recording, and it's like what outweighs sort of thing. But there's kind of been a little bit of a shift and a little bit of a pivot in terms of what we're delivering as well. We're picking up a lot more shows. We had it sucks because obviously COVID, we can talk about COVID like no tomorrow, but we had a really, really good run in terms of leading up to COVID hitting, where we were getting a lot more regular shows. We're playing at Frankie's a lot, we're playing in Newtown a lot. And we were having people that we didn't necessarily, that weren't friends, that were fans that were coming out and watching. So it kind of like that merch point kind of just went stagnant after that, because then you kind of restart. We had to restart coming back out of COVID, and last few shows we just had people that were like, do you have merch? We want to buy it. And so we had leftover stuff from way back, and then it was I don't know if you know the feeling of it, but like when you finish a show, sometimes like for me personally, I'm not as sociable. I'm like I need at least
100%.
half an
100%.
hour. But we've just gotten Jess Ashton, who's doing our photography now. Wonderful, wonderful lady. And when we were playing the first show at Elton Chong's this year, she turned around and said, "Listen, I'll do all your merch for you." And it kind of like just kicked us into gear. Having that extra person that's there that said, hey, let's do this. I'm going to help you out. It takes a lot of the load off, especially after a show, to be able to run around and take payments and stuff like that. And so that's really where it's like kind of shifted then the motive. And now we've gotten like F possibility. So we've got Square, and then that's now allowed us to have a shop front. The shop front side of things was the hardest thing that I was finding. Like I built our website up last year, and then trying to find how I could have online sales. And it's like Shopify charges you like $300 a year just to have a shop front. it's ridiculous. Like you're gouging money off me when I'm not even really going to make money off the merchandise itself. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, and what is it? It's like
That's
$60 to buy the square, and then they take 1%.
one point
something like
nine
that.
percent of
Yeah,
total
1
transaction.
1.9%.
Yeah,
And
And I mean,
and it,
even
and it
if you have,
includes your GST and everything on
yeah,
there. So it's just all sorted. Links your ABN. They are
and
awesome.
yeah.
and having your web
Plug for
store as well through
anyone.
them, having your web
Pardon?
store, the web store through them as well. You can set up all that through there, and
It,
it's nice and cheap.
yep.
Like it's crazy. I mean, look, we've still got the skunk bone one up just in case someone wants to buy some shit, and then randomly the other like a couple of months ago, someone I got an email through, and it's like someone had bought a beanie.
Oh, that's
And I'm
awesome.
like, and I was like, oh shit, okay, someone's bought that. And I actually looked, and they actually didn't live that far from me. So I'm like, well, fuck that. I'm not gonna post it to them if they live that
Mm,
close. But rather than sort of refunding the shipping charge, like I rang her up. I'm like, hey, look, this is this random person calling you tonight. Like this is who I am. You just put the order in. Um, look, you're close by. I can literally drop it off tonight. Did you want some extra stuff instead of the,
mm.
like it's because if I'm dropping it off, I don't think it's fair to make you pay for shipping. Like,
Sure,
I've
sure.
got a bunch of extra shit. I'll just throw it in because like we got a lot of stuff left over from that, right?
Mm.
So having the web store still there is great, I think. And yeah, Square is an amazing platform for that.
Yeah.
They're not sponsoring us. They should.
Yeah,
They're
they
not
should.
plug, but you know what? A better call out for anyone that is, looking to do merchandise and is worried about putting up an online store. It's an easy thing to wrap your head around once you kind of navigate through the tutorials. I didn't look through the tutorials, so I was a bit of a nupty and just was like, I'm gonna wing it and just try and do everything. But it's yeah, it just opened up such a wider avenue for things that I didn't know were possible. Everywhere else I was looking, I'm like, these guys are gonna charge me how much to be able to host my domain on their shop front,
Yeah.
and they're gonna take how much away from my merchandise? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it that sort of barrel there really doesn't set you up for success like the other ways that it was, it was going. So,
No, well,
uh,
you're constantly looking at dollars that you got to spend before you've even made anything coming in. It's like
yeah,
you're way in the black before you've done
Yeah.
anything. But
that's
Look,
exactly right.
now, if you do
you
your
know,
research, and really the big thing is research. Like if you do your
Mm,
research, you can find really resourceful ways to not have to pay those massive overheads at the moment. You can do it on the cheap.
but the other thing you have to research too as well is like people kind of get I think for a lot of people in bands, merch that when you're in the band, I think merch is very easy to romanticize in the
mm,
sense that you think about the type of merch that you wanted when you were a kid and you think that's what we have to make.
yeah,
Whereas a lot of people don't take the time to, as you say, do the research, right? They will like what something that I've done in the past is I went, okay, we want to look at doing merch. What are merch items that we can get that are affordable to get
mm,
that we can that we can make a profit on as
yeah,
still like and it's not we're not out here trying to gouge anyone on stuff. We just want to be able to go treat it like a business, right? And go,
yeah,
okay, we're
sure.
going to be selling shit. It costs us money to go to and time to rehearse and prepare all this stuff and all the practice and the training that we've put in over the years to do this. It costs us money to get to the show. Like we're quite often not getting paid from the show or barely making enough
Barely
to
making a
cover our
cent.
own
Yeah,
costs.
That's a big
We're not
one.
getting paid from streaming music anymore. Streaming doesn't pay shit. No one's
no,
buying CDs, so merch is
no,
basically the only avenue we have to try and make any money. And when I say that, I don't mean the band is turning a profit. I just
no,
mean literally on the sale of that item, we are making a little bit of profit, which we can then put back into the band. So, like, we were looking at things going, okay, well, it's coming into winter, but so people might be wanting to buy hoodies, but A, we're in Queensland, so people aren't, don't, there's hoodie weather doesn't last that long up here, and B, there was no way to make hoodies cost effective for us. Like I don't know if other people have had better luck with different suppliers, but what we were looking at, what we were seeing, the
60 to 70
cheapest
dollars.
the cheapest we could get, we would have had to charge $60 or $70 per
Mm,
unit to make even a very, very small percentage profit on
yep,
those. It was going to cost us even if we'd got like 100 in a batch, like it would have cost us $55
a
per
unit.
hoodie
Mm,
just to get them made. and I
It's
would not feel right selling them for that much money at all. Like if we
yeah.
got them, I'd be like, look, $55 is a decent price for a decent hoodie. I think maybe we sell them at $60 and make $5 on each, but then we have to sell 100 hoodies before and
before you can
it's just
buy
not
anything
going to happen
back.
in Queensland.
And
And
what are you selling all those hoodies for June 15th? I'm
yeah,
assuming that's when hoodie day
and
is.
yeah, it's in Queensland anyway. It's like,
Yeah, it is.
and it's just,
It's June
and it's
15th
like,
in Queensland.
and the thing is as well, like stock is not money.
No,
No,
You've got stock there.
that's a
That's like your
loss.
money's
That's a
dead
tied up
money.
loss.
in that.
It's
You're,
dead
you're
money.
you got money tied up in that. Like it's only
Yeah,
profit if you sell it. And
yeah.
so we looked around and we went, okay, what can we do? Key rings, yep, all right, but who really buys key rings? How can we make that more enticing? How you have to think about it from a business angle. How can we value add? So we found this. We found this one place that was doing keyring bottle openers.
Oh,
And we're
awesome.
like, right, you get 100 of those, and they came in at I think 250 each at that price point, and we could sell them for five easily enough. I'm like, five is a very reasonable price point for
Yes.
that. So, bam, we bought 100 of those because I kind of knew one of the people that worked at the company. She threw a few extra ones in for us as well. But so it came out to like $2 per unit to get them made, and we sold them for five. Like
Yeah.
$5 is a fair price for a keyring
Mm.
bottle opener. They can get it there. We're Aussies, so many of us like a drink.
Mate, that got
You just,
jagged off me. Danny.
you know,
Danny from work. He saw it. He goes, "Oh, I'll take that." He jagged it off me.
Oh, bro, remind me next time I'm coming. Next time I'm going to be around, I'll give you another one.
Yeah,
Send me
please.
I'll send you like five of them. They've got
Yeah,
so many
sweet.
laying around. But
Send
like
an extra. I'll pick one off. I'll pick
things
one up
like
as
Yeah,
well.
sweet.
yeah,
Yeah.
things like bottle opener. Those bottle opener key rings. Things like
Stubby holders. They were
Stubby
great.
holders are
I
great.
still, yeah.
So we're taking a different route. Kyle's seen this. We've got a T-Rex autopsy mug,
There you go.
right? And it's
Coffee
awesome
and tea.
because
Everyone drinks coffee and tea.
everyone drinks coffee. Exactly. It's great because you can get the red mug and then we put a white around it, and then it's the inverse of what this is. The white and the red, and it looks great. Like,
Yeah.
I do have to point out though. I'm sure other people have pointed this out, and I don't want to be the well actually guy. But the skeleton on the t-shirt
yes.
that's the Velociraptor skeleton from Jurassic Park.
No, actually, well, it
No?
is a Velociraptor, but no, actually, our drummer, his brother designed it. And it was a bit of a whirlwind to actually get this design onto anything else because he created the artwork in a like brown, like, fossil background. And then,
Fuck's sake. Yep. I'm seeing
and
this
so
already.
he created that, and then he lost the project. And so I know. So that was a couple of years ago that it got designed, and then we wanted to like rebrand the logo and expand it out, and not have like the background as what it was. We wanted a simple background and everything like that. So I learned how to use GIMP and a few other programs, and AI was a bit of a friend as well for myself. And I traced out the entirety of this skeleton with my mouse in each point to get it out onto a black background. Yeah, and then we were able to then use that to then go into like the Heavy Metal Awesome Sandwich logo that's with it, with the blood splatter and things like that. But yeah, it is obviously it stems from somewhere, but yeah, it was actually designed by our drummer's brother who does visual
Awesome.
effects and stuff like that.
Look, it's a very, very cool design, but I was like looking at it going,
There was a time, I will say, that we stole the Jurassic Park theme and we used that with the T-Rex Autopsy logo. And then we probably did it for about 6 months just for some like poster art and things like
Yeah.
that. And then we were like, I don't want to get in trouble with licensing and things like that. So we might not continue using this, and let's get an actual design. So
yeah. Look, and that's fine. Like there's ways you can do that stuff that
sure.
is fine. Like, if you're like, it is tricky, but there's lines that you can go to with it. You can kind of push,
Inverse the colors.
you can kind of push the limit a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, Nuclear Vision, right? Or we got a band name, can be abbreviated to 3 letters, NCV. You think about how many 3-letter logos look at how many 3-letter logos you can think of, And I'm looking at that going, how many fucking t-shirt designs could we make and put up
Yeah, for sure.
with that, right? Like,
For
even
sure.
you literally just look at it and go, okay, even just in for example, wrestling, right? Like I mentioned earlier, quite a big wrestling fan. You know, WCW logo, ECW logo,
Yeah.
like the old WWF logos from back in the day. Um, Wrestling factions, you got NWO, the classic like NWO
Oh
logo.
yeah.
I literally have a new NWO logo style NCV design.
That's
There's
cool.
so many, there's
That's
so
a nice
many
play
other.
on something that that means something to you as well, right?
Yes,
Like,
exactly,
and like
exactly.
that's where, yeah, we actually had someone that came back and did like some Jurassic Park style artwork for us, and then had like, I'll have to I'll send it across to you actually, Kyle.
Yeah, please.
Because it was awesome, and it was featuring off like Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. But I mean, like that's the thing, right? Like art is repurposed anyway. Like music is repurposed from your influences that you have anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't like, I think, taking a design from someone else that's already done something, and it's an extenuation of the interpretation, is not a
And
bad thing.
the thing is, right? The thing is, yes, okay, theoretically, you could get someone just could decide to take legal action,
For
right?
sure.
But it's a risk versus reward thing from that front. And I'm not no anyone listening to this before I go any further. This is not legal advice. This
No.
is not legal advice. This is not legal advice. This is not
I'm glad
legal
I got
advice.
you.
This is not legal
Got you
advice.
blown up.
If you listen to what I'm saying now and you decide to follow it and someone does sue you, I am not responsible. This is not legal advice.
Feel like this is like a Jim
Um,
Jeffries skit where like something's gonna get clipped out from your
I
your.
fucking hope not. I hope not. But anyway, look, let's go on. I should, yeah, but Kyle, what we'll do is we'll just flash up. This is not legal
I
advice
might
through the
do
whole
that for
thing.
that.
I'll
I
put it
might do that for
back on
this.
the screen. But anyway, like the way I understand it, right? And I could be wrong. I could be wrong. So again, don't listen to me. Don't do this based off my advice. But the way I look at it as similar to using samples in a song, right? And I
Sure.
go, how much are we realistically going to get out of the song? How much financial impact is it going to have on the original owner of that? And what is the likelihood of them actually doing anything about it? Right?
Mm.
And the likelihood of them finding out about it as well is extremely small. But look, let's say hypothetically that I use a sample in a song, or we release that, a T-shirt with that NCV logo in the style of the NWO, old school wrestling NWO logo, right? Company that owns it, they have to find out about it somehow. So if they don't find out about it, no harm, no foul. Secondly, if they do find out about it, how much harm is it doing to their business?
Yeah.
You know, if it's not doing harm to their business, then then there's a low chance of them taking legal action.
Yeah.
If they do take legal action, the first stage of that is going to be a cease and desist.
Mm.
If you get the cease and desist, you immediately cease and desist. If you're using a sample in a song and you get the cease and desist, you pull that down. If you're selling T-shirts with a logo that's a modified of a protected logo and you get the cease and desist, you immediately pull it down.
Mm.
And if they say, will render to us any profits from the sale, you can have my $100. Okay? Like, it's not worth them. It's not worth them having the solicitors draw up the paperwork to send it to you. Like, they will lose money on that activity.
Yeah.
So I look at it from that perspective of what's the chance that it's actually going to come, like if it's ever at the point where, okay, yeah, maybe it does come to the level where the song goes viral or the T-shirt goes viral or something happens and it might pop to their attention. Okay, cool. If it does, that's when you might have to start worrying. But for most of us, like, again, we've said this before, being Aussies doing a niche genre in a small population country where it's very hard to get into or out of because of how far away we are from the other markets, the chance of anyone getting big enough that it's going to be a problem is extremely low.
For
Oh
sure.
yeah.
And
For sure.
that's how I view it, and that's why I am less like, you know what, I'm just going to be a fucking cowboy about it. I don't give a shit. That was not legal advice.
Yeah.
That was not legal advice. Do not do that off the basis of me saying that.
I mean, do it if you want to do it. I mean, really, but that you roll the dice on that. I mean,
Yeah, I am not responsible. We are not responsible for what happens coming out of that.
look at
here's the
what
thing,
Look at
right?
what Firefly did. As soon as
Yeah,
the release of the Mickey Mouse, the Steamboat Mickey thing
I
came
want
out.
that.
Steamboat Billy, yeah.
I
Steamboat,
messaged AJ and I was like, I want that.
yeah, they brought out a shirt straight away, and now I
Yep.
can't. Yeah, like they
Right. Someone's someone needs to do a Winnie the Pooh thing now as well because certain
that
Winnie the Pooh
was
Good
that
characters are
ideas.
public
that
domain.
was yeah, they did that already. They made two. They've done
The
two
horror
horror
movie.
movies. Yeah,
Yeah, they're
I haven't
doing the
seen
horror
them.
movies. Apparently they're terrible. But
Oh, okay, yeah, but still,
my point is like it's a similar point, like you say though. Like if there's stuff that goes into public domain, that's a completely separate issue. But
yeah,
you should take advantage of it.
100%.
Absolutely do it. Like
I
you know,
swear there are
this stuff,
There are DJs that
this,
look at
like
stuff. When you have a look at some of the tracks that come out, and you're like, geez, like did that? Now that you know what public domain is, does it happen with music? Does it happen with would it happen?
most music that gets sampled for that purpose though is not public domain.
Okay.
It's not old enough to be
Oh, some of
considered
it,
public
but then
domain yet.
you hear some of it, and yeah, it's
But
some of it's pretty old.
yeah, but you have to remember, like, think about when popular music as a concept really became a thing,
Oh yeah, true. What's
right? Like,
copyright last?
if you want to say something like the Beatles, for example, that's still got a couple of decades until that goes public domain,
Yeah,
Mm.
well,
at
yeah,
least,
true.
at least. So actually, let me look that up for confirmation of that.
I wonder how much
When
they made.
does
Did anyone ever see that movie where the
Which one?
dude goes, what is it? He goes back in time or some junk, or he gets sucked into a different dimension where no one's ever heard, like the
Okay,
Beatles
here you
never
go.
existed.
Yeah. Oh, look, great movie by the way. Great movie.
Okay, it is.
Um,
Alright, I haven't seen it.
but so here you go. Given Paul McCartney is still alive, songs written solely or in part by him will be protected by copyright until the end of 2088 at the
Oh
very
wow.
earliest. Songs written by John Lennon are protected until the end of 2050, and songs written by George Harrison until the end of 2071. So it's a long time until even the Beatles, and you think about that realistically in the scheme of things, that's really kind of early on in the idea of pop music as we consider it today. Yes, there's a lot of music from prior to that, but it's a certain amount of time from the death of the creator of the work. So when you consider that recorded music as a common, even as a common thing, but like 100 years, realistically, let's say 100 years ago is when recorded music started to proliferate a bit more, and the idea of a recording artist became a thing.
Mm.
If these people like lived 30, 40 years after they made that music, then you're gonna add 90 years onto that, or however many. You know what I mean? It's just like
A long time.
That is.
In
the length of
retrospect, it's a
time.
long time.
So now we just got to tell our kids
Kids.
to keep an eye out for it, and as soon as
Yes.
that becomes public domain, rewrite it,
Whatever, yeah,
re-release it,
Get on
however
it.
however it winds up, but it's like
or buy
whatever the actual
it.
laws are, on it. But it's a long time until a lot of that stuff. So you consider that, like I said, for the Beatles, and even John Lennon. Like when was John Lennon killed? Long fucking time ago.
Yeah. Well,
And
you
that's still
think
not
about
till
it though. It's only
2050.
It's only 25 years.
So
26
yeah.
years.
So only now would stuff from 30 years prior to the Beatles potentially becoming public domain.
Mm.
Man.
So what can you
Far out.
name me that's old? What can you name me that is of that age?
Yeah, true.
Some Russian
Beethoven's fifth.
song.
That's why you see so much classical music
Yeah, it's getting reincorporated.
sampled by rappers.
Yeah.
Rappers love to take a little hook from a bit of classical music, whack it on a beat, weave it into something new. That's why it's so common in that.
I dig.
And just it's but like I say, it's an entirely different way of looking at music from that era. It's not it's like music was a rich person thing back then.
Yeah.
It still is. Jeez. Or
Like
you got to
Yeah.
you got to be half rich to buy in, and then you just broke for a really, really,
Right.
really, 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 really long time.
Well, circle back to something that you said beforehand.
Yeah, of course.
I was in the gym, and the manager there was like, "Oh, you're a musician," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." She's like, "Oh, what's it like?" And I was like, "Well, it's more of a clothing business than anything now, because that's the only way that you're gonna make money." But it's like you sink so much money and time into it. It's tough when you think about it. I was actually reflecting on it today, and it's something that you do because you love it, and if you don't love it, you can't go far, or you're gonna burn out, because there's it just there's so much like marketing. Like, you have to be an internet sensation for you to get any traction, right? Like, and don't get me wrong, I've discovered some awesome bands because of Instagram and TikTok, right? Like, I'll go follow, like, something like Heavy Drops or whatever it might be, and that's how I got into orbital culture. Like,
Orbit culture. Love those boys.
I
Love
only
those
just
boys.
discovered them 3 months ago, because there was like a reel came up, and it was like heaviest riffs, and then I went, whoa, this is crazy. And then when I looked them up, and then went, this is really good.
Yeah.
And listened to
Those kids
the
have got a
latest
big
release.
they got a big future ahead of them, those kids, if they can keep at it. Like, I mean,
Exactly.
and that guy's, I love that guy's voice, is very versatile. He sounds to
Very much
me,
so.
the way I describe it is like, you've got his low growls is almost like Opeth kind of low
Yep.
growls,
Yep.
but
Like
his clean,
old school Opeth, because
yeah, but
Mikal doesn't scream anymore.
his clean singing sounds like that era of Trivium where Matt Heafy was trying to sound like James Hetfield.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So it's like which to me is a very odd combination of vocal styles, I have to say. Like, it's a weird mix that I wouldn't have thought about, but in the context of what those guys are doing, it's really, really good. Like,
Mm.
yeah. So shout out to Orbit Culture. If you haven't checked them out yet, go and look up their shit. Orbit
Yeah.
Culture, really, really good band, worth your time.
Yeah, I was very surprised. And so now, like, I mean, doing that has then put me on this hunt to, really discover like bands that have 1,000 plays, or like 1,000 monthly plays. Like, I've been going down that rabbit hole, and I found some like really, really, really good
Actually,
music that's just
that's just given me an idea. Sorry, keep talking, Kyle. I'm going to send you a message.
Oh, thank you.
Keep talking.
yeah, I just, hitting and seeing these bands that have like next to nothing viewership online, and then, it's like, yeah, I'm part of the forefront of before they hit the next point, but it's just good because it's different as well. Like, they're not.
Well, man, that's why we do what we do here. We try and get on the ground floor, and because that's when you want to find the band, and like, you want to catch them before they're famous. You want to catch them before they, like that. Like, at the end of the day, we only ever give a shit about the people after they've made it.
Yeah,
Why not give a platform? This is why we do what we do here. Give a platform to the ones that are trying to make it.
it's funny as
Because
well because the opposite side is like Sleep Token. I discovered them like back in 2019 before they were this massive sensation. Now I still love them. I went and saw them on Sunday. But
So did half of Sydney, apparently.
yeah, apparently, yeah. I saw a video where it was like everyone's filming them.
Everyone, I saw like half my fucking Snapchat stories from the other night is Sleep Token concert. It's like
Yep.
half the people. Like, it's incredible band from what I've heard of their stuff. How was the live show though?
It was funny because I thoroughly enjoyed it, and my mate, who's a massive, massive Sleep Token fan, loved it. We were about middle, and then got to the front of the pit, and my partner and her friends and our friends were a little bit further back. So we met up afterwards, and I'm like, "That was awesome. What'd you guys think?" And my friend just goes, "Yeah, underwhelming."
oh
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah, it was like, I don't get the hype. And so the main reason I actually brought this up was it's interesting
because I
how the
wanted to
hype.
punch someone in the face. Is that what
Yeah.
you brought it?
Is your friend a musician?
Uh, no,
That's probably why.
but it's interesting the concept, right? Like, so when I first discovered Sleep Token back in 2019, Hypnosis and Alkaline, those tracks were the ones that stood out to me. Didn't listen past that point though. I just listened to a couple of tracks. had it in my prog metal playlist with like Leprous and a couple of other bands that I hadn't really delved too far into. And then when they released The Summoning and Chokehold, I went, oh my God, this is great. We've got R&B mixed with like, metal mixed with, some beautiful soulful vocals. And it really, really encapsulated me. I thought it was really, really awesome. But then when the album came out, I was actually kind of underwhelmed because I was hoping that it was going to be more metal than that R&B, pop sort of music. So the main point is that like these guys blew up, and now there's this split community with metal fans because they win album of the year, and everyone goes they're not a metal band, they've got metal components. And safe to say, I enjoy majority of that album, but I'd give them song of the year, but not album of the year, and they've just blown up.
Yeah.
And now the community is divided, and there's like people that are like calling, and it actually causes so much friction. So it's like the point of what you said about when it was underground, when these bands are underground and you first discover them, it's one of the most exciting feelings. 12 Foot Ninja saw them open for Disturbed, and they absolutely fucking shat on them. Absolutely loved them. Bought tickets when I was at Hordern Pavilion for that show. Bought tickets to their normal show. Went there, fell in love, and then Kin leaves the band. Like I got 4 years of loving them, but turn the cycle around and you go, I can still listen to their music though,
Yeah.
But it's
Hey, at least we can turn around and say that they never had a shitty album.
no, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's really funny you say it because I think we sort of, and this is, I talk about this with like Slipknot and stuff like that as well. It's like we shouldn't define a band from an album. An album is an album is a moment, and it's cool if you love that album and then you don't like stuff after that, and you can still be a fan. You just fell out of, like, for me, it was like Trivium was for like what is it, Ascendance or whatever, like
Ascendancy. Yep.
yeah, Ascendancy. One or two albums after that, and then I've dropped off them. Man, I'll still go see Trivium if they come out, but those albums are the ones that resonate most with me.
That's it. People,
You know what I mean? Like,
this idea that people have that you have to be an all or nothing fan. You have to either like everything a band has done, or you can't like anything, or if you don't like everything they've done, you're not a real fan.
Yeah.
Look, let me fucking tell you, right? Metallica was the band for me. I would still say is the band for me, right? The one band, that new album that they put out, I haven't listened to it pretty much since it came out.
It's funny because the live stuff is so much better than the studio recording, but that's over compression.
Yeah, and I'm like, I think that part of it is the modern production style that they've had on their last few albums. I think part of
Magnetic's
it
good
is
though.
Yeah, I think part of it is that they're doing, it just feels like some of these songs are long for the sake of being long. There's a lot of the stuff that they're putting out now that I'm like, it just doesn't really vibe with me all that much. But I'm not sitting here going like I'm not like doing what people did when they released fucking Load and Reload, right? Where they're just like, no, they're shit now. They're shit.
But
I can't listen to anything.
I
that
love
they've
Load
done.
and Reload.
Dude, they're the albums that got me into Metallica.
Like I was
Like,
yeah, because I would have been.
and it was,
young.
but this is what I mean. It's like people look at it and think, well, if you don't like everything they've done, you can't be a fan of them. And I'm like, I will fucking challenge that to the ends of the earth,
Yeah, man.
And like, if you like a song by a band, I believe you are a fan of that band to some degree. To some degree,
Yeah, for sure.
You may not go and see them live. You may not be a fan enough, to buy merch or anything. But if you like anything by a band, I think you can consider yourself a fan of that band.
But that's all that gatekeeper shit that we talk about.
Yeah, like we rail against gatekeeping so much on here. We really, really do.
It's bullshit, but it's like Metallica felt really the sentiment of everything that you said then. I remember listening to a interview that he did. I think they were here in Australia, and Soundwave was on at the time, and Metallica I think were playing it, headlining. I think it was the year that they were headlining. Macau came out and he made a statement. He goes, "I think Load and Reload is some of the best work that Metallica's done. I commend them for doing that. And it's, you know, I think because you listen to Opeth and you go back to the 80s for Opeth, and it's fucking death. It's death metal, you know, like it's on the brink of like Emperor, and a couple of other bands that were coming out of you know, Norway at that time. And then their sound, as you listen to the albums, they become softer, and you have these softer tracks and these softer moments. And then they bring out an album like Damnation. Fuck me, that is one of the best compilations of work ever, in my opinion. And then they reel it back up into, you know, Watershed, and Watershed is like heavy as fuck, but with then these moments that are from the Damnation album. You know, and then obviously you talked about, you know, his vocals before, but now he sings more than anything. You know, he doesn't really put on that screaming heavy voice as much as he did before, but like he's taken that band through a journey of work, and each album is a concept and brings to life whatever idea that he has at the time. Metallica did it, and they got fucking crucified for going back to their blues roots. They went back to
Man,
the roots of what they
Rock and metal
they
comes
did
out
for
of
them.
that.
Pardon?
Oh,
Yeah, rock and metal comes out of blues.
Exactly.
I'll fight anyone on this. Metallica is just country with distortion.
And the
Yeah.
thing is, like they have earned the right to, and not that anyone needs to earn the right to do this, but I think at a career level, Metallica has definitely earned the right to do whatever they want to do.
Fucking
Oh,
know.
they got
they've-
fuck you money and they got fuck you stature. They can
They
do whatever
own
the
all
fuck
of their
they want.
music.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
like they're
they've got the chops and they've got the experience. They've had the career to do, like
whatever
they
the
don't
fuck they
they
want.
don't owe anyone anything. They could, you know, like they can just do whatever they want to do and make the best of it and have fun with it at this point, right? But when I say what I say when you know, when like what I mean when I say that I don't think anyone owes anyone anything like this is like any band can pivot genre at any time.
Unless you're under
Yeah.
a label.
No,
Unless
that
you're under a
aside, in
contract with
terms of, but
labels, keep genres alive.
what I mean is in terms of with the fans, right? Like you don't owe the fans to continuing doing a certain genre. You are
Nope.
allowed to pivot genres. It may not make people happy. You may not be good at the new genre. I think as long as you respect what has come before you in the genres that you do, and it's not simply trend hopping as a cynical sellout move, I see no
Jared?
problem. You know,
Think of it like this. It's just like
Machine
Michael
Gun Kelly,
Jordan.
you know,
It's just like
um,
Michael Jordan when he went and played baseball.
yeah,
Yeah.
he wanted to do something else. He wanted to
You
give
want
it
to
a
do
shot.
something
Like,
else.
Like
Yeah.
you're gonna complain against a guy that's done all he's done, and then he just wanted to go play
Yeah.
baseball. Like
He wanted to
Yeah.
shoot his shot and give it a go.
you know, and I spoke about this with someone from the drummer from PhD, and it was Beartooth, and Beartooth has sort of switched out their sound now. And look, like Raf said, and this just really just adds on to what Raf was saying, is more so bands do not owe you a fucking thing.
No,
They
it's
bring
their
out-
creative endeavor.
They did not ask you, what would you like on my album? What would you like on the album we're going to bring out? They bring out the album, you either like or you hate it. And if it blows up and the next one you don't like, that's your problem. They wanted to bring this out at this time. That was how they were resonating.
perfect example for you, right? This I don't think this video is released just yet, but we have a reaction coming up on Metal Ruse for the new song from Wage War.
Yes.
Okay. Now, spoiler alert, it's fucking good.
It's great.
Real fucking good.
Is that the
And-
latest one that came out like yesterday or the day before?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nails,
yeah.
whatever
Just
it is. Now,
Fucking brilliant.
A lot of people I've seen since then, a lot of people are commenting on their posts, the band's posts about it, and they're not liking the more trap elements that have been blended into it. They feel
Loved
they're like,
it.
oh, this isn't you guys. This is like this is, you know, not what you were doing. And it's like, and like what the fuck? And the most hilarious thing to me is that I would wager, I would put good money on the fact that most of the people that are complaining about a band changing their sound and trying new things, most of the people complaining about that, I would wager are not musicians.
Yeah. and they don't
or if they
understand.
or if they are musicians, they are just very rudimentary level understanding of how music works and don't actually give a shit about the deeper aspects of it. Because anyone who's a musician knows that while it is fun to do what you know, experimenting and exploring is
just
where the real passion is.
yeah,
Fucking
fucking oath,
oath.
It's
fucking oath.
and that's
And then you
like
turn around and get a budget, and then you get a budget for an
And you
album,
can do whatever you want.
and you get to do what the
yeah,
fuck you want, dude.
yes, exactly.
Do you know what though? I'll play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
Because so I was a late comer to Avenged Sevenfold. Shout out to anyone that thinks it's dad rock. It's still fucking amazing. They've got some great music. And you know, I discovered them in high school, and then towards end of high school, I got into Nightmare and Hail to the King, those two albums. And Nightmare album is a fucking piece of work, and some of Mike Portnoy's best drumming, in my opinion, as well. Love it. Love Hail to the King. And then when they brought out in 2016 that next album, I was like, oh, it's not Hail to the King, and it's not Nightmare. There's some tracks on here that I enjoy, but it's just not the same. And then they brought out another album, and I went back and I listened to it. It was like a number of years, and I was like, actually, there's some pretty good tracks on here that I didn't give a go because it was different. And then they brought out their latest album like last year, and I listened to a bit of it, and I just went, nah, it's not for me. But at those points in time, there was that thought process, like, why aren't you doing what you did before? Why aren't you doing what you did in Nightmare? Why aren't you doing what you did in Hail to the King? And I think it's a level of maturity as well to when you're listening to a band, or like you're wanting to hear what made you like them so much. But it wasn't until I went back and I listened to stuff that was prior to those albums, and I was like, but they've changed. They actually changed so much from the first album and to the second album and the soft title album into the Nightmare into then, you know, Hail to the King. I've come into a middle point where you know they're still defining their sound.
Yeah.
Another example of that I like to bring up that I like to talk about is Lamb of God.
Yeah.
Right now, if you look at now, hear me out. Hear me out. I saw the look.
I love Lamb of God, but I have an
Hear me
opinion.
out. Hear me out. No, hear me out.
Listen to it.
I want
It's really
your
good.
opinion. I want
Sure.
your opinion afterwards. Please, I will hear yours absolutely. But Lamb of God spent several albums evolving their sound.
Mm.
Right? You listen all the way back from Burn the Priest, and you follow through those albums. There's an evolution every time, every album. Like almost every album for the first, like I would say 5 or 6 albums, Randy's doing something new vocally. The band is doing something new stylistically. They're trying something different. There's you know an evolution on the production side as their budgets are getting bigger and they're working with better people. They're discovering their formula, I guess, if you want to call it that. They kind of get up to a point, and you've got songs like, and then you get to Wrath and
Great album.
and
Best
is it
album. Their best
what's
piece
the
of work.
Wrath? What's the one after that?
Oh, hold on, I'll pull it up.
With the one with Ghost Walking
Resolution.
and stuff. The one with Ghost
Resolution.
Walking and stuff on it. Yeah, Resolution.
Yeah.
And I think even the album after that, and they started
Seven,
to really,
Sperm, and
they started to play around with being very experimental with some of the songs, right? Like you had Reclamation on the Wrath album, which was incredible. You had King Me on the album after that, which I thought was a brilliant fucking song. And
512.
then, you got Overlord as well that they've done, where they've kind of gone into, which is like I think almost the first time Randy did clean singing in anything, if I remember
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Like,
he did.
So they kind of did that for a while, and then after that, I feel like they had a couple of albums that, to me, just felt like they were just very formulaic and just
Yeah.
not trying anything new. And
yeah,
I don't know if that was partly because Chris
Really?
Adler left,
Chris
and
Adler, yeah.
and you know the drummer that they got in was look, I'll be honest, I don't know the guy's name, I don't know what else he's done, but I just feel like Lamb of God didn't have quite the same energy about it without Chris
agree.
Adler on drums. Chris
Yeah.
Adler has a very unique style, and
And it's that chemistry between him
and
and,
it's
he-
it's chemistry
it's
between
chemistry
people,
thing.
and look, the latest album that they've brought out, I'm
Omens.
getting some of that energy again. I'm getting some of that energy again. I'm
Yeah.
getting some of that excitement. I'm getting some of that feeling from them. Like they're trying to push things a little bit and put some of those little nuances in that they maybe weren't doing there. But Lamb of God, Disturbed, as well as
Oh,
another band where I
Disturbed's
fell
a
off because they got very
massive
formulaic.
one.
They got very formulaic for a few albums
Yeah,
there, and I
dude.
felt like nothing that they were doing was particularly standout compared to their earlier material.
And that's
But-
a big
yeah,
thing.
but
You
what's,
either keep trying new shit, or you turn into
Or
a
you-
nostalgia
AC/DC.
band. And yes,
Well, like it's we all know this as musicians, right? Like there's these moments like where you're writing something, you're just like, fuck, I just wrote the same thing that I wrote before, or you're like, oh fuck, I just wrote like a riff from a band that I just like
Yes.
learnt from, like something, or like it's a song that you haven't played for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to then to stand out and be different. I mean, like the formula is you hit the point exactly of what I was going to say and what that look was, which was, yeah, when they released, I think it's the self-title album in 2020. When those songs were coming out, I was like, they're cool. I don't know if it's a production thing as well, which makes it then feel like there's less energy to the tracks, but then it feels very formula. Guitar without any instruments or any accompanying instruments, starting the song off, and then some low volume into then the big reveal of what the same riff is that they just started the song with, into then like a short chorus into a pre-chorus into a chorus that all sounds relatively the same, and then goes back and it just cycles through. First and foremost, Lamb of God was like my favorite band throughout high school and into
Lamb of God.
early 20s. But yeah, it kind of lost me out. But it kind of falls back to that point of that, a band goes and does something that is different. If it's not well received, then they go back to
They go back to what they
making-
know.
Slipknot tried to do that with whatever the fuck they released on the last album.
I can't believe you're a hater of the last album. Fuck me dead. I love that thing.
Boring as batshit.
Boring. Like
Boring
there's
as batshit.
not
Sorry.
a single song that stands out to me.
The
In
first
fact,
half of that
the
thing,
EP
the first half of that thing is fucking
Sorry. I know they're Slipknot and they can, we're the ones sitting in our fucking bedrooms and they're the ones
Yeah.
touring the world.
Yeah.
But
Fuck
I
you.
can only speak to my look. Here's the thing, right?
Hey,
Here's
I'm
thing.
the one defender of that
we
fucking
can only
album.
speak to we can only speak to the way we
Interpret it.
experience the music and the way we interpret the music.
Mm.
And I, it's as stupid as it sounds for this little fucking podcast with this on this YouTube channel with not even 300 subscribers yet. Like,
We're getting there.
I don't want to sacrifice my integrity
Just to say it's good.
just to say it's good, right? And just because they're big and popular doesn't mean that everyone has to like it. And I would never expect everyone that hears songs that I've created to like what I have released. Even people that have released that liked other stuff that I've released, right? I would never expect everyone to like everything I've done. So I can only extend that expectation to every other band out there.
Yeah, that's it.
And say like, we can sit here and go like, oh yeah, Rage Against the Machine made one great album 4 times. Like, you take every Rage Against the Machine song, jumble it up into a new set of 4 albums, and it will not, like, you won't be able to tell the difference.
I mean, I know, but you actually said it.
I can't
Like,
believe
I'm
you
not-
said it.
Like, I'm sorry. Great albums, great songs. I love their music. I love
Yes.
their music, but they basically did the same album every time.
But you could say the
Right.
same thing about Limp Bizkit.
You could. But what my point is that, like, some
Limp
bands
Bizkit have
have
features.
some. Look, Limp Bizkit had production changes across their career a bit.
Yeah.
Rage Against the Machine was all their albums. The production was pretty much the same across the board. Like I said, you could take those songs, put them into 4 random playlists, and you would believe that they were the albums that they were meant to be on.
But I guess you
Right.
could say
I think-
you could say that about any band that really hit their stride in like that 4 or 5 album period, though.
Probably, yes.
You probably could. The unfortunate thing, I guess,
That's where they
with
get
Rage
stale.
Against the
That's
yeah,
That's
it
where
is.
they get stale. That's where bands like
100%.
Disturbed released multiple albums that just with that got the same production across all of them, and the songwriting is basically the same, and the songs are very formulaic, and nothing really stands out. You could jumble those around, and just no one would really know the fucking difference.
Because
I guess they were all just listening to Nickelback and they went, "These guys are so successful, let's just do it."
dude, you have a look at Korn. Korn did 3 albums,
Yeah.
and then hit their stride on their 4th. Was it
Yep.
their 4th?
And then
it
when
was
Head left the
Korn-
band, they kind of just went downwards.
Then it
Wait,
went, they
Life
went through
is-
period,
Korn-
yeah.
Korn, Life is Peachy were pretty much really one of this. Like, I guess in Follow the Leader after that was just. That's
Yeah.
when they just like.
Follow the Leader and Issues were very, similar production wise and everything, and
But
then
very
like you
different
say,
albums.
they went into that period where they were kind of wandering the wilderness a bit, right? Like they'd gotten popular, they'd got big, they could do what they wanted to do, but when you're in that environment and you're under pressure, and you've got 10 years to write your band's first album.
Yeah, more.
Yeah, and then you have
10
such
years.
a short
Then you have
time
then you
frame.
have 18 months to write the second one, and people
Yeah.
want it to be better.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I'd
That is a
argue
really
and
good point.
say- I'd argue and say then that's why progressive metal is probably one of the greatest subgenres of metal, because there's no rules. There's less when you listen to something that comes out of a band like Carnival, or you listen to someone like the Butterfly Effect, or you go and listen to Cog.
Yes.
Yes, right. Like and then the master of them all, Tool, right?
Yeah.
You go listen to like 15 years since like it was between albums for Tool, right?
Yep.
Like and Fear and Coleman just bought that album on as a record. It is for me like the best album that they've done, but I'll have so many people argue with me and then be like Lateratus or any other
See,
album.
I'll just go on the whole thing and just go, I don't like Tool. I love A Perfect Circle.
I love
Never
Perfect
liked Tool. Never liked Tool. Can't do it. Love going to see the live show. The live show is something else. Like,
I've seen a Tool live show once. I wouldn't go again.
man, last time I saw
Hold on,
them,
which show did you go to though?
It was
It wasn't Big Day
God.
Out, was it?
no. It was one of their own shows.
Okay.
It whatever the fuck, I don't know what they're calling it now, but like Acer
2017?
Arena, Kudos Bank Arena,
Yeah, yeah.
something like
yeah,
that.
kudos.
I got free tickets through a work connection to like one of the corporate boxes.
Okay.
It was front on to the stage, so like the stage was at the other end, we were at this end.
Yeah.
It must have been, God, early 2010s.
So it would have been the
whatever
last time they
that
came
tour
out to
was.
Australia.
No, because they came out in 2017 or 2018 when
That's
they
the
It would have
last
been
time I
before
saw
that.
them.
Would have been the time prior to that, I think. But
Okay.
look, and the show was like, to be fair, they don't like to be sort of in the
Center.
spotlight. They like to be more in the background of it. And basically what I got from that is, if I want to experience a Tool show, I'll like,
like
Yeah.
and then watch the film clips. Like,
That's what
I didn't
Yeah.
really get enough out of it to be like, okay, like, not that it wasn't a good performance. The performances of the material was great, but their stage show is something different. But Tool is a very divisive band as well, because realistically, when they started, they were a grunge band.
Yeah.
for
Like
sure.
that's the thing there, and that's another band you can talk about that has evolved and changed their style over time,
Yeah.
and done something drastically different. But
But
you know,
the
talk about-
impact
talk
they've
about
had
no
on
rules,
the
like,
music scene.
one of the reasons that
yeah,
one of
100%.
the things that we
So much
one of the reasons
respect.
we do this podcast, one of the reasons that we do the reaction videos we do and try and think, it's because, as music fans, Kyle and I are always on the hunt for new shit.
Yeah, man.
We're always on the we never want to become stale. We never want to become those people that let our music taste settle at whatever it is when we were 30, and then we don't listen to anything new ever again. Like, I try and seek out stuff that is different and divisive, and that is going to upset the gatekeepers and the elitists, because I want to know, like, honestly, like, if the
'Cause they're the next
gatekeepers and elitists
superstars.
hate it, if the gatekeepers and elitists hate it, there's probably a good chance that I'll find something to like about it. Because, when you have bands out there that are doing such different stuff, and, metal, I think as metal fans, we recognize that metal can blend with just about any other genre
And it does.
in a way
We've done
that almost no other genre can do.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Like we,
Oh, I
you
mean,
know,
look at T-Rex Autopsy. I mean, Craig plays with the Lebanese guitar, like
Yeah, the
live.
Glissentar, the Oud,
Yeah,
the Saz.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
we added
yeah.
that Abaki into it as
You,
well.
yep. You
I
look at
mean,
bands that are out there doing stuff like Bloodywood is so incredible with what they're doing, mixing the Indian
yeah.
folk music
Oh,
in
I
with
just
with
discovered that
metal.
probably like 6 weeks ago.
Oh,
Yep.
dude.
Yeah, bands
Yeah.
out.
Ooh.
You got people out there like Scene Queen, who's basically taking
Yep.
like doing what
Bimbo
she called
Core,
bimbo core, which is like metal mixed with like trap and whatever, like dance music and stuff.
Nirvana.
Yep, Varna's out there doing similar shit. Like you got bands that are just literally going fuck it
I'll do what I want.
and doing whatever they want to do, and I am all for it because
Mm,
you know, like I like other genres as well. I like mixing metal with the other genres that I like. I like hearing that shit and bringing it together and enjoying it and giving myself that variety because, you know, Metallica's great, but I don't want to listen to fucking. I can't listen to Master of Puppets on repeat for the rest of my life.
no, no. It's interesting you say that as well because this journey and hunt that I've been going on personally to discover other music, and a lot of times it's group chats. It's like, what are you guys listening to? Unprocessed is a new band that I discovered probably about 2 months ago.
Oh, dude.
Awesome band.
Man, seriously,
Yeah,
dude. They're like polyphia great. Like the guitar
yeah,
work, the
they
bass
are.
work, the
Yep,
production. It like
yep.
you should
Actually, let,
watch a video clip, the real unprocessed with the polyphia guitarist.
let me throw a name to you and see because if you don't know these guys, I have a feeling you'll really like them. We did a reaction to them the other week. They're called Auralize. It's spelled Avralize, Avralize.
AV. What was it? AV
Avralize.
They are
They got a song
awesome.
called Canvas. That's the one we did a reaction to. They're
Canvas.
from, yep. We couldn't figure out where they were from. Apparently, someone commented on the video that they're from Germany.
Yeah, they're very good.
But it's spelt Avralize, pronounced Auralize because they got to be cult and put a V instead of a U. Um, but these guys are out here doing some good shit. Yeah, yeah. See, yeah. He's on it. He's on it. Um,
Yeah, they're
yes,
bullcrap good. They're
His
bullcrap good.
voice.
yes.
Yeah.
And
Holy shit! Bono, bada, bombo,
Yeah,
bada,
yeah,
like that's like
the bass tone,
that's like
is next
and
level.
it's
it's
great.
like some metalcore like sort of riffage like there.
And as someone that likes proggy stuff, when you listen through that song, you will hear there's like little nuances that they're throwing in to show that they got a lot more talent than they're utilizing for the vast. Like there's the level of skill that these guys are bringing to the table. It is far far beyond what that song would suggest
Mm,
just listening to it to the average
Mm.
person. And there's elements that they mix in there that are totally unexpected, and they're a band that I think is one to watch. Like I
yeah.
genuinely think they're a band that people are in a few years' time going to be going, "Holy shit, have you heard this band?"
And yes, we did. We told
While
you.
she sleeps, have you guys heard of them,
While she
No,
sleeps,
was
no.
it While She Sleeps?
dude? Unique because the guy, the lead guitarist uses a pitch shifter, and he uses two pitch shifters. Um, there's a video that I found on Instagram. Like I started following their like band page, and it's for which track is it? It's off this new album, Self Hell. Um, Flowers to the Flowers. If you watch how he actually made that song, he's using two pitch shifters. It's so creative. Like he's using one that's going like an octave up and then octave down, and he switches between them. Um, a mate of mine when we were at Good Things, I think it was, yeah, the last Good Things. We went and watched Sepultura, and loved the band when they were with Max and Igor Cavalier. I stopped listening to them after they went to their new vocalist and Eloy as their drummer. I am so disappointed. I slept on that band for the longest time. Um,
Facts.
I'm
Facts.
an idiot. I decided to do this thing where I went, well, it's not Max, so therefore I'm not going to go listen to it. My brother was just like, you got to listen to him. And then what's the song? Agony of
Honestly, I'll say it. I have to say it. Like the absolute disrespect that band got for so long because
Yep.
Max and Igor weren't in the band and no one gave them a chance.
Yeah,
And look, I
bro.
will fully admit I've slept on them as well. I kind of didn't really pay too much attention to them, but they were doing, like looking back now, the work that those guys were putting out is
Yeah, better than what
arguably better.
they did when Max was in the band.
Arguably better from a
Yeah.
Right.
musical perspective. Is like
Agony of Defeat,
I'm going to
like
take a
play,
quick piss.
go for it. Yeah, I slept on Sepultura for far too long. Our old drummer actually was the biggest Eloy fan, and then yeah, eventually I watched a video, but seeing them live, I was just like,
yeah. I made sure to catch them at Good Things as well when I went
it
up
was.
here because like
So we
I
have.
knew.
Oh no, you would have been at the Brisbane one.
Yeah. But like it was, yeah. I knew that I had to catch that because I mean, they obviously announced that they're wrapping everything up.
Oh my god! Immediately after I see them the next day, I'm just like, you're fucking kidding me.
Yeah. Well, the drummer's the new guy for Slipknot apparently.
Potentially, yeah. I mean,
That's what the
Eloy.
rumor is. That's what the rumor is.
If do you know what the problem is with Slipknot now?
I mean, there's numerous, but go on.
It's just seemed, well, besides Corey Taylor being a fuckhead, it just sounds like a more generic version of Stone Sour. Because I mean, like you think about who the writers of Slipknot were before, they're the people that aren't there anymore. Paul Gray was a predominant writer. Joey Jordison was a predominant writer. Like that's where when you listen to early Slipknot,
Yeah.
early Slipknot has like this mixed blend of like the drumming and the guitars just all coincide, and it makes sense. And like that's where it rings back to like you know, the statement before about bands doing what they used to do, like try and make Iowa again. Well, you can't because the dudes that fucking wrote Iowa aren't in the band anymore.
Nah, man,
And look, I mean,
I was it's a
Iowa
piece of
came from
history.
Iowa came from such a unique place for them as well, because like I don't know if you've seen it or not, but if you get the 10th anniversary edition of Iowa, it comes with a documentary about the album, and they're all sitting there going, "We were all in such a negative place when we wrote that album. The amount of anger and vitriol that was poured into it, like we don't like going back to that place. If that's where we have to go to write an album like that, I never want to write an album
Yeah.
like that again."
No,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to.
Like the
Well,
screaming in the opening track, the sampled screaming in there, the story behind that, I don't know if you know it or not. Basically, the band was on tour, and Sid's dad was really sick,
Oh,
and he went, "Oi, stop it!" Sorry, cat.
doggo. Oh, yeah.
Cat
Don't worry,
scratching the carpet.
my partner's like was at the door before like getting my dogs because they were scratching and going.
But yeah, so Sid's dad was extremely sick, and he's like, "Look, we're on tour. I'll come back as soon as the tour's finished. I'll come back as soon as the tour's finished." And basically, I think if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I watched it, but his dad died like 2 or 3 days before they got back from the tour, and he never got to get back and see him in person again. And he's like, this is 10 years after the album came out, and he's crying while he's telling this story.
Yeah.
And he's like, so I just went in the studio and hit record and grabbed a microphone and screamed until I had no voice left. And from those, I got the screams that went into that opening track.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't tell you, like if that doesn't set the mood for the whole fucking album,
It
Yeah.
does.
I don't know what does. Like it's a brutal album, and I genuinely think that while yes, there's stuff that's lower and riffier by all sorts of bands that have come since, I stand by the fact that Iowa as a complete package is one of the heaviest albums of all time.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100%
But yeah,
agree.
right. So Kyle, we're all back. We're recording
Let's do
again.
it. Let's do it.
We're going.
I'm gonna keep some of that chatter in when I
Yeah,
edit
of
it,
course.
So, yeah,
Of
cool.
course.
All right.
We do that. Yes. Let's go to the
Ba-
first segment.
That you had you could
Quick question
you do
quarter.
you want you could do so you
We're back.
We're back. Sorry, just telling off my cat. Right, time for the quick question quarter. That is spelt with Q's, not K's, because we don't roll like that. But basically, this is some rapid fire questions for our guests here, so that our audience can get to know you better on a deep musical level.
Oath, let's go. I'm
So,
prepared.
first question: what was the first instrument that you learned to play?
Guitar.
Good choice.
Nice.
What was the
Yeah.
first album you purchased?
Ooh. It was The Butterfly Effect Begins Here.
Oh, that's first.
That's a
which
good
is
shout.
also to go full circle. I bought the 15th anniversary record as my first vinyl that I purchased too.
Oh,
There you go.
nice. That's
Yeah.
Nice
awesome.
one. I can remember I was in. I say I was in uni. I was only in uni for 6 months. I'm a fucking dropout. No, I was at uni in like 2005 when someone showed me Butterfly Effect.
Yeah, right.
But
I
actually, no,
stand
no, no.
corrected. It was the 20th anniversary record. My mistake, because that was the tour that they just went on.
I will say sorry. No, no. I will correct myself now. I actually saw them at Big Day Out 2004. I
Yeah, wow.
saw their set at Big Day Out 2004. I remember them distinctly because I remembered them playing "The Cell" as one of the songs that just stood out to me.
Off the EP.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like 7 years old when that
one
album
of
came out.
then one of my mates one of my mates at uni was a fan of theirs, and he slung me copies of their stuff, and I sort of checked it out a bit more from there. But that's a good shout for a first album.
Fucking
Yeah.
oath.
That's a good one.
Yeah. JB Hi-Fi in Bankstown. I remember seeing it and then being like, I want
Oh,
that.
you bought your first album from JB Hi-Fi,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Not HMV. Not Sanity.
not HMB or Sanity. Okay. First live concert you attended.
Slipknot 2004 with Hatebreed, Days End.
Horton
Yep.
Pavilion.
Horton Pavilion. I was, 10
at
years
that
old.
show. I was at that show.
I had
I was
like
not 10
my
years
metal
old.
my metal wristbands. I had my eyeliner done. I had black nail polish.
Back
I was
when you
in
could
high
wear
school.
like wristbands into those shows.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great.
dropped-
I
got
didn't. I
dropped
wasn't
on the
allowed in the
back
pit
of
though. That was really sad.
Oh.
I can understand why.
Yeah, I got dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Went
Look,
through crowd surf and slipped straight through.
All I'll say about those early Slipknot pits was when they played Big Day Out in 2005. Basically, the stories that I've heard is that the medical tent all day was like, dehydration, sunstroke, maybe someone that had, tripped over and, got some grazes or a knock or something from that. Slipknot played, and then it was like people that had got kicked in the face by crowd surfers and their nose was broken, or their fucking arm had got jammed under shit and got fucking pulled out or out of socket or whatever. Like, it was, the Slipknot pit was a level up from
As they should be.
everything else. I was like one person from the barrier when they played, off to the side a bit, not quite in the center, so I didn't have the worst of it, but it was pretty hectic. Instrument that you've always wanted to learn but haven't yet.
Violin.
Nice.
Yeah. I think it's
Good choice.
like it stems back. I used to listen to a lot of classical music. Growing up, I used to go with my mum to the Sydney
What a
Symphony.
surprise! What a surprise! A prog kid that used to listen to classical music.
I saw Peter and the Wolf done by the Sydney Symphony. That was fucking mint.
Wow.
You got exposed to a lot of classical music as a kid, and now you like prog metal. In other
Yeah.
news, water is wet. Like,
I mean, John Williams, like Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars.
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Like-
I kid, but like, no, that's
Hey, Raf's a big Star Wars fan. You did the Disneyland trip to the Star
Yes.
Wars thing and got himself a lightsaber made. And
I did. Made my own lightsaber at the Star Wars Galaxy thing at Hollywood Studios.
That would have been fun.
Got right into the role play of it. It was very fun. All right. If you could pick one big band or artist for T-Rex Autopsy to open a show for, now the rules on here is basically none. So anyone, living or dead, active or not, whatever period in their career you could pick. But if you could pick T-Rex, one dream fucking thing for T-Rex Autopsy to open for and then retire the next day, what would it be?
Opeth.
Ooh,
Very clear, very strong answer there. I like that.
that's quick.
If
No thought.
Opeth was not an option, Carnival for sure.
Oh, nice. They're playing soon. I've got to get tickets.
Yeah,
to
they
that.
are on my birthday too, so that'll be great.
Nice.
There you go. Make sure
But
you
yeah,
get out, check that.
definitely Opeth, because like it's for me growing up as a kid listening to, well, like I wasn't a prog kid to start with, you know, sort of thing. Like yeah, Butterfly Effect was an album that I first bought myself, but I was listening to, you know, Metallica, Pantera. I was listening to, you know, then Dimmu Borgir. I was listening to Killswitch Engaged. I was listening to Blink 182. You know, Creedence Clearwater Revival. Bee Gees. But when Opeth, when I was first introduced to Opeth, I remember listening to the Damnation album when that got released in 2001. My mum got given a copy for Christmas, and we listened to that on Christmas Eve. And I was like, "This is the most beautiful music I've ever listened to. Like, what is this?" And then you get into Deliverance, and then, you know, everything to do with it. It really embodied the work that I then put in for my own writing, from an acoustic perspective when I was doing a lot of acoustic stuff, from like early band stuff. Yeah, they would be it.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Now this one, look, we kind of got a few freebies for this next one earlier, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And you're probably the best person to answer this one, if I'm being honest. Who is a band or artist that you're listening to right now that you believe is seriously underrated and deserves more attention?
Well, yeah, unprocessed for sure.
Yep.
Orbit culture.
Orbital Culture. Yep.
Orbit culture.
Yep.
If I can flick to my playlist on the
Absolutely.
on the
Bust
side
out
here.
Yeah,
the
everyone
playlist,
does.
man.
Everyone hits the Spotify.
Everyone does. We have no.
It's very,
no
very
qualms
rare
about
that any, like
at
you
all.
answered pretty quick. but
Caligula
we've had-
horse. Caligula
Oh
horse.
yeah, man, we've had them
Yep,
on.
We had those boys on.
We had
really,
them on
really
here.
cool dudes.
They're awesome. I spoke to the guitarist when they opened for
Doctor John.
Yep. Dr. John. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, they're so nice. I was really upset when we had that Progfest Monolith, and they had Carnival and Cog. I was like, Caligula Horse would be like the perfect band, along with the Butterfly Effect. Another band that I discovered,
they opened for the Butterfly Effect.
they ended up
Yeah.
opening that show for the Butterfly Effect. But for that Monolith Festival, I would have loved for both of the bands to be on there.
And they just announced an Australian tour too.
Oh, there you go. Make sure you
Yeah.
get out and catch them.
Yeah, me and
They're
you should go
playing-
to that. You want to go to that, Ross?
I'm playing a show when Caligula Horse are playing. I had to sell my ticket.
Oh no,
Oh, no.
life as a
Yeah,
musician.
I know. I was like, yeah, I really want to play this
Give
show.
me
So.
Yeah, hard.
Um,
I knew it was there somewhere.
Kenosis. Kenosis. It's like some Japanese band. Knosis.
Nice.
Love me a good Japanese band. Actually, speaking of Japanese bands, you might be interested if you haven't seen them already. Deviloof. I don't know if you're familiar with Deviloof.
Check them out, man. Check them out.
Devil Loof.
Devil OOF. Deviloof, all one word.
Okay. Added
All one
to.
word.
Oh, they look
Definitely.
serious.
Oh yeah, you want to check them out.
What
One of the-
song?
What
Do
was
they have a
one we
song
did- what
named
was-
after Goku?
What was the one we
yeah,
did
yeah.
the reaction to? We did a reaction to
No,
one that was pretty good.
my favorite one of theirs. I don't know the name for it because I think it's just written in Japanese characters, in kanji or whatever they're called. But
Their artwork is phenomenal.
they are
They're
like
brutal.
their style. Like they all look very androgynous. They're playing some hectic instruments, by the way, and they are pretty wild. Pretty wild band. Hang on. There's this band. No, I don't think that's the one. I'll have to look them up somewhere else. But yeah, but
L-
yeah,
l-
we love some good recommendations over here. Like that's
last
Fuck yeah.
half the reason we do it.
last one, which is like not metal and it's like Egyptian. They've got one album out and they've got under 1,000 listeners. Is Hago, Hago. Yeah, these guys are like I don't even what genre they are. They're just
Yep. Okay.
they're like jazz and yeah, they're jazz and Middle Eastern flavors. I mean, they're progressive metal as well. So I mean, I feel like I found my like
Look,
other band.
I can point you in the direction of a few, man. Like I'll throw some since we're trading a bunch of suggestions here. Band called Fall of the Albatross.
That's a sick name.
We played with them in 2012 with Tensions Arise when we were in New York,
Mm.
and like pretty much look, all the bands that we played with in New York are worth checking out. Lies Beneath, Eyes Like Cyanide, Seas of Wake, and Fall of the Albatross, all really really good bands, all very different genres. But Fall of the Albatross, just at the time they described themselves as epic progressive jazz metal. They do. If you're I mean, I would assume you're familiar with the Mate Feed Kill Repeat EP from Slipknot.
Yeah.
So the way that Do Nothing Bitch Slap switches from like smooth jazz kind of vibes to intense metal stuff is a good indicator of what Fall of the Albatross do. And they actually, since then, actually their singer left and they just went full instrumental.
Right.
So yeah, highly, highly recommend them if you like your prog
Okay.
stuff.
Yep.
That's another good recommendation to check out for sure.
We
And
got a bit
also
of a
one more. Um, I've recommended this band a few times on the podcast, so if you've seen the podcast before and I mentioned them, I do apologize. From Scotland, it's a band, and I always get the pronunciation wrong because it's spelt very weird, and it's probably some weird Scottish thing. It's spelt Saor, and they are like they mix sort of like
Saor.
Saor. Yeah, they mix sort of like Celtic, traditional Celtic stuff with like black metal
Bro, I
elements.
was listening to this like 3 nights ago. Forgotten
There you,
Paths.
there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, they're a band like it's so crazy because like every once in a while I'll mention them and someone will be like, "Yeah, I know those guys, I know that band," and I'm
And it
like,
just happened again.
it's crazy because they're such a like little fucking thing from across the world, and it's such a niche thing that yeah,
It's like it's so great. Like again, it comes back to earlier in the conversation, which is discovering bands that are undiscovered. I
Yes.
understand, and I like first and foremost, thank you for letting me be on this show
No,
and having these
all right, man.
discussions.
Thank you for
Um,
coming on to chat to us, man. Like,
yeah,
it's great.
firstly, I did actually say that when I jumped on, so but
no.
thanks guys. But it's great to be able to then like swap music. It's the lifeblood of us, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's
uh,
almost like for us, it's like trading cards.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
for a musician, like especially when you love music, like when you eat, live, and breathe it as much as what people like us do.
Mm.
The opportunity to show someone a new band and then see
And
their reaction
we
from it is just the
and we like and much like with trading cards, right? Like the rarer the band, as in the more underground and less known they are, the
yep,
more cred you feel like you have
yep,
recommending them, and not in like a not in a douchebaggy like hipster like, oh, I knew them before they were cool way,
yeah,
but just in the way of like you kind of like, yeah,
yeah.
okay,
I've
yeah.
got and it's you know what the thing is. It's more so to the fact of that you feel like you have your finger on the pulse as what is popular.
yes,
Mm.
yeah,
That's the best way to
honestly,
describe it.
fucking Disturbed. When Disturbed first that first album came out, and they were
Oh, you mean
kind of
wow?
making when they were making waves in America, but before just like I was the first of my friends over here to know who they were. Like I
Yeah.
found their shit on this fucking website. I don't even know if it's still there called stickdeath.com. And they used it was like stick figure fighting and
Yeah,
videos,
man, I
whatever,
remember
but
that.
basically they did one we using Down with the Sickness on one of their things, and I was like, they credited them at the end of the video, and I was like, that's a pretty cool fucking song. I'm gonna check that out, and I like tracked it down to HMV, and they had like one copy in the fucking metal section, and that was their only copy that they had. And I bought it, and I would tell all my friends about it, and they'd be like, never heard of them, fuck off, don't want to know about it, leave me alone. Then by the time we get 2 albums down the line, and they're releasing like Invincible or whatever, and through the everyone's going, "Have you heard Disturbed? This fucking band Disturbed. You got to." I'm like, mate, where were you 3 years ago?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
I
Yeah.
had my finger on the pulse.
I was on that shit,
It's like
and
it's like when I
yeah,
discovered 12-foot Ninja, and then like you
yeah,
start introducing them to other people, and they're just like, "This is fucking amazing! Like, what is this? Like, what is this? What are they doing?" Like,
Yeah.
and then you go through this like this circle of like rabbit hole where you're like, "What is Stevik doing with his guitar? He's muting strings. He's changing like
yeah.
like the tuning of his guitar. Like,
I'm the
We'll
guy. I'm the guy that goes. I saw the second guitarist when he had his first show, and they only half filled out the Manning bar. And then the next time I saw him at the Manning bar, it was fucking wall to wall.
Yeah.
I'm that
You know
guy.
what I think, Kyle? I reckon we need to keep old mate here on speed dial and get him on for some
Ross,
reactions sometime.
yeah. Oh, that'd be. You know what? I
As
never
an we
thought of
need
that.
as
That'd
an
be
extra,
good fun.
as like get him in as, or as like if one of us can't do it, we need to fill
Yeah,
in. Like,
Ross, 100%. Ross is
I
on
think
speed
that'd be a
down.
dial.
good shout. I
I'm
think that'd be a
down.
good shout. Anyway, let's keep this rolling. Let's get back on track. Sorry, we went on a bit of a tangent
We
there,
did,
everybody.
yeah. My
Um,
bad.
what is something people may be surprised to learn about you?
I love musical theatre. I'm a big musical theatre buff. I have been to Wicked multiple times, Aladdin, Lion King,
Lion
Doctor
King was
Zhivago.
amazing.
Doctor
I'm not ashamed.
Zhivago is my favorite play. Beautiful story. Have never watched the movie, but only watched the play. Mate, Matilda, obviously, because Tim Minchin wrote the music for that. Yeah,
I don't have a button
musical.
for it on the soundboard, so I'm just gonna have to be like nerd. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, dude. Hey, he's a
I
prog
am
kid.
a-
He's a
I'm
he's a
kidding.
prog
We're
kid.
all
He's a prog kid
we're
that
all
loves classical
we're
music
all
and loves
we're all
musical
nerds
theatre.
and geeks in something. Look at this and tell me I'm not a fucking nerd.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true. I
Dude,
mean, it's
I
the
love,
same.
I
Same.
love, I love musical theatre so much too. Have you ever seen The Wiz?
No, I haven't.
I want you to look that up. I want you to
Okay.
look that movie up. It's a movie. They do a live stage production of it. It's never been to Australia. If it ever comes to Australia, I'll be one of the first people to buy tickets.
We'll go together.
Yeah, we will.
make it a
will.
date. There you
We'll
go.
make it a date.
Hold each
Leave-
other's
We'll make it
hands.
a
We'll,
date.
we'll leave
You
we'll
can
leave the
hold each
wives at
other's
home. They
hands,
won't get
you
it.
can- yeah, yeah.
I
there you
would
go.
have loved to have done stage do stage shows.
Yeah.
Singing, dancing, like
Book of
Never too
Mormon was
late.
fantastic.
It's never too late. The guy from a Perth band whose name escapes me at the moment, but I have seen them when they toured out here. They were a very very cool metal band. He was a very talented singer. He has transitioned into doing stage musicals.
that's awesome. Yeah, yeah.
Transitioned into doing stage musicals because
That's
he's
fucking cool.
just that good at entertaining. So you can do
Yeah,
that shit.
do it.
And last one in the quick question quarter before we move on. Disclaimer: you can interpret this question however you wish. What is your worst music sin?
Oh,
It's confession time. I have an ordained reverend, so we can.
And
get
he's
this
not
going.
lying. He literally is.
I mean, I really loved that one song, "Breaking Free" in High School Musical. Like, we're breaking free, we're soaring. Yeah, I'd sing that. Or
Of course, the musical nerd likes a fucking song from High
the
School Music.
the Cheetah Girls. There was that like one like song that strut with I mean, it was good music. I guess
I prefer Zac
like
Efron when he's being
I'm a
funny.
metalhead. You know what? Yeah, maybe my musical sin is that I love metal so much, but like Christina Aguilera came out, and I was so sad that I had tickets to something else because I would have loved to have gone and watched her.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the name of Lemmy, Ozzy, and our Holy Father Dio, you are forgiven, my son.
What's your
Alright.
musical sin?
I don't have one. I'm ordained reverend. I don't have any. No, I'm
That's it.
look, my one is that I don't know. Like I'm always a perfectionist when it comes to gigs, and I'm always like stressing everyone else out by being a stress head myself and creating that problem when there doesn't need to be a problem there. I'd say that's my one. I'm overstressed and just get
Overcorrecting.
overactions against stuff, and always like put that onto other people when I probably shouldn't. So
I mean, it's part of it, right? Like that's music. You want it to be. You want to
that's
give
autism.
these
That's the
people.
autism. That's the ADHD and the autism and the overthinking and the overpreparing and all that
Nothing-
shit.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with
Nothing
that.
wrong with that.
It's
Carl?
better to be.
Tell that to people I used to be in bands with.
Hey,
but,
dude, I
anyway,
would have been the one that would have been setting all that off in your head all the time. I was the flaky one that was really cooked all the time, and then I'd just walk up on stage and do my thing and just manage to perform every time.
yep, would never
Be a
have laughed.
flip, be a flip of the coin. That's why I was
Carl,
so.
you'd be so kind.
That's why I was so surprised that you asked me to work with you in that New South Wales United thing.
Hey, I didn't know.
But I thrive under pressure. That was
know.
that was the best thing. It was like Kyle, you got 2
Yeah, you
weeks,
got
and I'm just like,
you got like
yeah,
2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks to learn a whole set's worth of songs, and away we go. But look,
I
that
thrive
was
off that.
there we go. That was the quick question quarter. Let's move on to segment number 2.
Ooh, the
Everybody's
favorite.
favorite. It is time for.
Come on, if you want to fight, come on then.
Get in the
Are
bin.
you enjoying the weather there, mate? What? Are you enjoying the weather there?
Mate, it's time. It's time to chuck it in the wheelie bin.
Time to get the fucking bin, take it out
Just
to
like
the
old
curb.
mate.
Funnily enough, it is bin night up here for me.
It's been
So
night for me
take that-
too.
We'll take that shit out to the side of the fucking road, and they can pick it up at 6 o'clock in the morning with their loud, smelly trucks. It is time for everyone's favorite segment: get in the bin. So, as we outline that, this way the segment works, if you haven't seen us before, is we say to our guests, right, we take the infinity gauntlet with all the infinity stones in there, we place it on their hand, and they have all the power in the universe to snap their fingers and erase any 3 things from the music business. Mate, what would they be and why?
Interpretation of music, how people behind big banks aren't actually musicians, and the music industry being run by individuals that don't fucking know music for what it's worth.
No, they
Fuck
just got
that
deep
shit off.
pockets. They just got
Yeah, they
deep
just-
pockets.
Like what Spotify has become, it's such a double-edged sword. For myself, it's like, this is great. It's distribution that I can get my music out and people can actually listen to it and easily access it. But no, sorry, I'm going to swear here. No cunt is getting paid correctly for their music. They are being stripped from all its worth, and then the owner, the CEO, is like, everyone should be releasing music every 6 weeks. Come on, mate. Like, we're taking music from being such a beautiful craft and then just turning it into a product that everyone just listens to for the shortest time, like attention span, and then they don't care anymore. Like,
Yep.
where is Dark Side of the Moon now? Where
And what
are
I'll
those
say-
compilation albums that, like, you listen to it from start to end and you just get the biggest churn in your body? Like, there's none of that as a result of
I'll say
of
this. I'll say this. They launched the service in 2008. It has yet to make a profit.
really.
It's propped up by investors. I don't know how the share price is as high as it is. I don't know how they've conned everyone into believing that is the only way. Unfortunately, they just happen to have a good user interface that has attracted a lot of customers, which is what's, I guess, sustaining them.
Mm.
But in over 15 years, they have not made a profit. If you can't make a profit off your business in 15 years, it's not a good business.
No, 100%.
No,
Sorry.
but Raf, don't you
Right.
get it? They keep it here for us. That's the
I
lie
don't
that we're
give a
being
shit.
sold, brother.
That's why Spotify's going up a couple of dollars extra
On the
at
on
the
the
end of
on the
May.
on the
Yeah.
on the computer it says they haven't made a profit, but the share prices are up. Someone's
killed-
making money.
They have streaming businesses, as we've like. I can't get into the rant again because we've done it.
I know we do it every week.
We've done it so many times before. But no,
Not
I
open a can of
agree.
worm that everyone
Look,
seems to be saying.
What you said, I don't know how many episodes of ours you've listened to, but what you said is almost verbatim what we say on the regular, at least once a month when we get going on the rant about these services. The double-edged sword is the exact wording that we use.
And then you have the other, and then like to add on what you said about the other thing, people digesting so quickly that they spit it out before they've even had time to actually digest it.
The double-edged sword of
That's
TikTok.
Kyle's biggest problem. That's Kyle's biggest
That's my
problem.
biggest
It's-
issue. I love look. I'm not a
it's that-
musician anymore. I love
I've-
Spotify.
I love
My
Spotify
my
too.
key issue with it is the devaluation of music that
Yeah.
streaming services have accelerated in consumers' minds.
Well, the compression rates as well, so you're not getting the
Oh,
real like quality
fuck. No,
from
this
what the
is where
music is.
Spotify and fucking man, I've said this. I've said this a couple of times. Can Spotify please give out a middle ground on what they expect for compression on their system, considering 90% of the music is going to be on their system? When I record it on the CD, tell me the compression rate that I need to put it on when I put it on Spotify so it's all level. One thing that pisses me off about Spotify is when I have my shit loud and it's loud for one song and then the next song comes on and because it fucking dips. I
Yeah.
want one fucking level.
It's
Give us
Yeah, it's difficult because it comes down to LUFS and all sorts of other different levels.
Yeah,
and
but
it's
just tell
really,
tell us what the best thing to fucking use is, and it can just be a studio standard.
yeah.
yeah,
But,
it's
it's
tricky.
a tough one, man. I mean, like that's why Tidal was a big player in the game for a while because it was well, we're getting it as FLAC audio.
Like lossless
We're
audio,
getting the
high quality.
lossless audio. Um, yeah, it's a double-edged sword, and the thing is that as well, then you put this music onto TikTok or you put it onto Instagram, and then you got
All
further
that
compression because you're squeezing it, and this is the thing, this is the problem about like the music industry like right now is that everyone's just getting squeezed. It comes back to like I have to be a social media star for my music to be recognized, like, or I need to do something to become viral so then people will actually listen to it, but like,
Or hope that someone uses your song in a viral clip.
yep,
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
yep,
it's yeah,
I
it's
mean, I think I may have mentioned this once before on the podcast, like example for you in terms of the production and the compression and everything. This is going back a few years, but I mean, you mentioned earlier in the podcast, you mentioned Death Magnetic,
yes,
right?
yeah,
I remember when that album came out, and I remember reading a lot of stuff that they did. They went as analog at as many stages as they could
mm,
during the production of that release. And I can remember getting it on CD and thinking that this sounds odd. Just
mm,
something about it doesn't quite sound right production wise. I couldn't put my finger on it. But then when I got the vinyl version and listened to it on vinyl, it sounded and I'm not normally one of these people that's like, oh, vinyl's better.
it is sounds
When I
brighter.
got when I got the vinyl copy of the album, it sounded so much better.
yeah, right,
And that's when it hit me that, of course, they've done everything with an analog production mindset for that album. They've gone as analog at as many stages as they could. So, of course, an analog format like vinyl is has a better chance of having the way it was produced and mastered was for vinyl.
mm,
That was their primary goal for it. It wasn't like the CD production doesn't sound quite right because that's not what it was produced for. You know
mm,
what I mean? Like they've produced it with the aim of having it sound best on vinyl,
yeah,
and that's how it's turned out. Um, so and I think a lot of older music, especially, is that isn't built for the modern digital age. Is part of the reason it's not translating well is because it's not designed for that.
yeah,
It's not
yeah,
intended to
no,
be listened to in that way. It's not produced like the production decisions were not made for it to be listened to in that way. On fucking A in a digital format, B streamed over a thing where it's compressed, C sent over Bluetooth to earbuds where it gets compressed again, coming out of tiny little earbud speakers or a tiny little phone speaker that someone's playing on the thing, right? Like it's not
no,
these pieces, these works are not designed to be listened to in that sort of format.
I don't think
And
any music is designed to be
realistically,
listened to in that form. It's meant to be listened on something fucking good.
well, that's it. And like people are going, like there's a lot of music of certain genres that is that does get produced for listening through, you know, Apple fucking
earbuds,
earbuds, whatever they're fucking called.
Well, look at
Uh,
that. Look at that Dead Wax video we just did recently. That whole
yeah,
video was filmed for
yes, exactly. Yeah,
Instagram.
we did one of the reactions that we did that'll be coming into Metal Ruse soon. The film clip was literally in vertical aspect ratio for like watching it on a fucking phone,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
which is it's not. I've heard of it
Never
before,
seen it.
but I had not seen it before. I'd seen people do square for Instagram, so that like square works in a 1-to-1 aspect ratio, kind of
Yeah, yeah.
works ubiquitously on just about everything. It's not the best fit, but it will fit to everything in some degree. Um, but this is the first time I'd actually seen a film clip done in vertical aspect ratio, which was odd. I'll say
Yeah.
very odd. Um, but
It wouldn't have been odd
yeah.
if we had it
Anyway,
on our phones.
Yeah,
sorry,
that's
we
true.
went again. I mean, we
No,
went
no, no.
off on a tangent there. So
We do that.
yeah, the commoditization of music.
And it leads into my second point actually of what I would change. Is pretty much well within the conversation what we're having here, which is funny, which is great actually. It's how overproduced and compressed, like the overproduction of music, of it being this squeaky clean like throughout it, where music's not that. Music is imperfections that make something perfect. um I was so a mate of mine gave me his vinyl player, and had a mate's birthday, so I brought it over, and my mate was giving me some really, really fucking good speakers, so I could listen to my vinyls out of it. And so I went to his grandfather's place, and he picked out about 50 vinyls. He brought 50 vinyls that he thought that I would like. And we had, for his birthday, instead of listening to Spotify, instead of listening out of our phones, we had the record player set up with a barbecue going, and we listened to albums through and through. We listened to the Bee Gees. We listened to David Bowie. We listened to, and it was crazy hearing it, Elvis Presley, a record that came out in the 1950s, 1960s, and you heard it in mono. It was not analog, it was mono. And it was great. Like hearing the scratch, hearing like
The
these
pops, the
little
crackles.
the little pops, the crackles, and like it just adds such an extra element and dimension to that listening experience. And I think as a result of you got to have, we were talking about this before obviously this started, Kyle, but the whole how you plan out your songs being released, because of the attention, it comes back into the attention span of everything like that. People don't want to listen to an embodiment of work, and they don't want to listen to a concept album necessarily. It's a niche set of people that are going to do that. They're going to listen to a track, and they're going to add it to a playlist, and it's going to get fallen into the playlist where they probably may or maybe not go back to. And then, it's double-edged sword again of like discovering new music, but not listening to everything for its work. Come back to Dark Side and the Moon. I am so glad that I did not discover that album until I was like 23. Not that I hadn't listened to any of, Pink Floyd stuff, but I went to like the Wall production show that they did in Sydney as well, with obviously only one member of the band.
I think might have been at that one too.
Yeah, they had like the
Roger
big like.
Waters toured it, and they did the whole build up the wall on the stage and
Yep.
everything. And
Yes.
yep.
Yep.
I was
I
at
would have
that one.
been
Corporate box again. Thank you, work.
nice. I was sitting with my mum, but yeah, I had a conversation with my brother, and I had said, and I will regret these words, and I'm regretting saying them, but I was like, money, it's not that great of a song. Yeah, I said that.
What?
And what the problem was that I just heard it so many times on the radio, right? Like I wanted to listen to something else. And then I heard The Great Gig in the Sky, and I heard that female vocal, and I was like, holy shit, what am I listening to? And that made me go and listen to the album in full. And I came back to my brother and I said, Craig, I'm eating my words. I'm an idiot. I am so sorry for ever saying anything like that about money. That song is fucking perfection.
Yeah.
I got a story about that song. You know the loop of the money sounds
The
at
cashier?
the start. Yeah, the cash
Yeah.
sounds yeah. That loop, they actually had to set up two tape machines to get the tape loop and run it between them to get a long enough loop because the one tape machine couldn't do it long enough.
That's crazy.
But you talk about, I mean, you talk about the imperfections that make stuff, right? Like I've got two brilliant examples of that for you. The solo that Van Halen did for Michael Jackson
Yeah.
on Beat
For
It,
Beat
I
It.
believe it is. Yep. You know the creaking sound at the start of that?
Yeah.
That's the studio door.
Oh wow! Someone walked in during it.
Someone went to walk in, realized, oh shit, there's an active take, let the door close, but because it's a big heavy studio door, it was like, and that ended up being the best take. So they were like, fuck it, let's keep it in.
That's fantastic.
And
I
then it
mean,
becomes iconic.
It is, and
like,
it's such an iconic part of the song that you'd think it's Michael Jackson, like he was a perfectionist.
he was a
They
perfectionist.
must have put it in intentionally, but no, that was a complete fuck up on someone's part. And the other example I'll give you is one of the guitar solos in, I believe it's on Master of Puppets. The very last note that Kirk hits in one of his guitar solos, he flubbed it, and the string actually came off the fretboard. But the note,
I've
the
heard
note,
this.
the note that it made, it just happened to be in key and like an octave higher or some shit or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the way it came, and he has never been able to get the note right ever since.
Yeah.
Because it came from essentially a fuck up.
Yeah.
And you can't this is what we say, like when you say music is built on imperfections, you're right. Like the overproduction of music is, and it's hard, like having done the production side myself, it is really, really hard to not want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
But I can't believe I'm gonna rely on something that Lars Ulrich has said about the creative process here. But it's just, even a broken clock's right twice a day.
Twice a day. Yeah.
In some kind of monster documentary, Lars Ulrich talks about his art collection, right? Like paintings that he's got. He's like, how does the artist know that there's enough of like that gold splatter part up in that corner? Or that, how does an artist know when a painting's done? When is a song done? It's a very like philosophical piece and whatever, and obviously like they're all going through all sorts of interband drama at the time, so he's probably being
Great
very
documentary.
philosophical about those things. Amazing documentary. And I have had to work very, very hard myself. As I mentioned earlier, I could be a bit of a perfectionist about things. So from a production standpoint, like I have had to work very hard to be able to recognize when enough is enough and when it's not perfect, but it's done. And these are very challenging distinctions for someone like myself. And I kind of, for me, that's a point where I go, okay, I could make a million more tweaks and it would sound different, but not necessarily better or worse.
But it would only sound different to you.
And
You-
recognizing when I'm at that point is challenging. And there's been stuff that I've worked on that's been released that I look back and go, that was probably overproduced. I probably did too much. I should have eased back, let it be more raw, let it be a little looser. And these are the mistake, the things that we only really know with hindsight. But I 100% agree with you in that overproduction and perfection of music can take away from the artisticness of it, I think, is kind of what you're getting at there.
It's interesting you say that because my brother is very much a perfectionist as well with a lot of what we're doing, and it's he'll come back and when we're going through this recording process and listen back, and then we've released it, and he's like, oh, I just didn't like my vocals there. And I've said that as well. Like you can go back and you can retake it so many times, but there's a point where you improved it. There's a point where you went like, that's good. There was a point when you were in that recording studio situation and you delivered the goods and you went, that's the take, right? And it's only upon reflection that maybe you look back and you go, no, I could do it better.
So that should only be a reflection to make you work harder on the next piece.
That's exactly right as well. But I think
It can be
I'm
very tempting to re-record though, especially when
yeah.
when you have access to a studio within your own band, or when you have access to
Mm.
this sort of process, because it's so easy to go back and keep doing it. You're not on a budget. You're not on like, okay, well, I want to do it again, but we have no more money to do it again.
Yeah.
When you've got access to that studio and you can theoretically keep going back every weekend and trying again and again and again until you get the quote unquote perfect take, it's very easy to fall into that trap. But you know, you kind of, as I said, there comes a point where you have to say it's not perfect, but it's done.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's delivered what I envisaged as what it is.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, we've gone back and we're redoing production for a lot of songs that we released, and one of the songs, Beyond the Pleasure Principle, I we kind of rushed to put it up online. We wanted to have that momentum, and this falls back and into this issue with the way that we have to release music now. And so we're like, we've got momentum. We need to release a track. We need to keep people's attention span so they're listening to our shit, you know. And then we released a version of a song, and I've hated it since, like, being up online since it got put up there, and it's been like, well, let's go back and redo it. But actually, we've got more music, so we need to do that music before we go back to that. And obviously, I gave you guys a bit of a snippet as to what's to come with that. And I received that track on Friday, and I have not stopped talking about it because hearing it for what it is, for what we do it live and what I've always envisaged, and hearing it back, I just went, this is it. This is what I want my band to sound like, this in every single release. So now it's like, cool, we've got a standard. We've found where that standard's going to be, and how we're going to do it and how we're going to deliver it. So I think, like, falling back on that point is, like, if you've got a baseline that like that baseline is where you want it to be, then it's like going to that. If you go above that and it's successful and it's good, then for sure. But yeah, it's a vicious cycle. It's a very vicious cycle.
Yeah, and that's the danger of self-producing, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
when you are self-producing, it can become a lot harder to know
When it's
when
done.
to stop, when to stop. So it's, yeah, I fully appreciate those challenges because I've gone through them all myself. That's one of the reasons, I talk to, like, a lot of bands, a lot of younger bands that I talk to out in the scene now, and I just say, look, I don't have any spectacular accolades to my name, but I'm always down to offer an extra pair of ears. If any, I'm like, I talk to them and they'll be like, oh, we're gonna record, blah blah blah. That's really cool. Like, if you ever want someone to offer an opinion,
Mm.
I'm always happy to do that. And that goes the same for, and I don't like it. It's sometimes, and maybe this is the imposter syndrome, or me just trying to balance, like, being excited about wanting to contribute where I can versus reining it in and being like, no one gives a fuck what you think, old man. Because, like, I don't want to sound like I'm coming across like some fucking dude who thinks he knows better, right? Because I just, all I can offer is my, thoughts on something, humble as they may be. But, I'm just putting that out, like, literally, anyway. If any bands are watching this and you're interested, please feel free to reach out. Like,
Yeah.
I can only offer my opinion for whatever it is, and you can do what you want with it. But I'm
And
always
we've
happy
been,
to.
and man, you've been around the traps a bit. You know exactly what you're talking about, and not just that. You've been doing this now for 2 years and speaking to so many bands. You know where the gaps are, and
Like,
that's the
it's,
big thing.
yeah, and look, I fully recognize there's a lot of stuff that the kids today know about the business that we didn't know coming up. A lot of knowledge, they're a lot more knowledgeable in a lot of areas that we weren't. Um, but some stuff you can only get for doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Some knowledge and experience and understanding you can only gain from having done it for nearly 20 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that
Like,
that bit of advice could be the difference of you playing in a pub and playing in somewhere a bit bigger.
you know, like, I don't, like, I'm not going to say that any advice I can give to anyone's going to be life changing on it. But I'm always down to talk to people and offer advice wherever I can.
We
But anyway,
fall into a trap though, like, where, like, you make a good point there, where, like, we get tunnel vision, like, as a band, as to what we're doing, and
I've done that too. I've
you
got
know,
tunnel. And on my own projects as well sometimes.
Yeah,
It
and
happens.
it's having good people around you that you can like go back to and you can talk to that's going to give you a critical, feedback.
Well,
Carl,
they're not
you're a great
invested.
example.
They're not invested.
I mean, you've been to, a few. You've been to what, 3 or 4 shows now.
Yeah, man.
After, like, and the connection immediately, right? So it's like you gotta leverage that to hear an honest opinion, because now we've got that connection where you and I can talk and you can turn around and you can go like, that's not your best, or like that you need to change that. And you, instead of having this like emotional opinion towards then what the outcome of what it is, and then being like, oh, they don't fucking know what they're talking about, because this is what a lot of people end up doing, and what a lot of people do in the scene as well, where they don't know what they're fucking talking about. It's like the comment or the response that's been provided to you comes from a good place for improvement, for you to be able to then like hit new heights.
And not just that, you're trying to impress those people. It's cool. It doesn't matter if you like your own fucking band.
Mm,
Like as cold and hard as that a reality of that is like it means zero if you like your own band. Yes, it's good.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to write music that you like, but you're not going to buy records. You're not going to
And
buy
if
your
I
own merch. You're
yeah, and
trying
if
to
I
you're
can say
trying to sell
something,
to an audience.
exactly. It
if
comes
I
back
can
to
add
that
something
business.
in here as well, if I can add something, like I had a very interesting experience when I left Tensions Arise, because there was a lot of people that I spoke to after I left Tensions Arise who, I'll say, admitted, it confessed, whatever you want to, however you want to phrase it. I don't know if those are too strong of terms, but that said, yeah, like I only supported the band because I'm your friend and you were in it. Like I don't really like the music. And
Honest.
I'm like, okay, but you, like, is there a reason you didn't tell me that before?
Yeah.
Like, I still made that music that you're talking about when you say that.
Yeah.
So, like, why does me not being in the band make it okay for you to say that now, but
Mm.
not then? Like, you should have said it then. If you had feedback on the music, I would have appreciated it then.
And not just
You
that, if
know,
you were a big
don't
band, and
don't
they didn't
be
like it,
don't
they
be
wouldn't.
don't be a yes man just because
Hate
I'm
it.
in the band.
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, I appreciate the support that they have shown,
Sure.
but please, for fuck's sake, if you're a friend of mine and I'm in a band and I'm like, hey, you interested? If you support the band purely because I'm in it, please tell me. If you have feedback on the music, don't keep that to yourself.
Yeah.
No,
Please feel
it's
free to tell me.
constructive
As
criticism.
long as you can provide
Because
it in a constructive manner, I am welcome and open to and encouraging of feedback of that nature.
You have to be.
100%.
And
100%.
you know, it's
A
just
hundred
too,
percent been there.
yeah. Like
And
I
like,
don't I don't need to be surrounded by yes men when I'm doing this shit.
because
Like,
when you're in the creative zone, it's so easy to like just go, yeah, that works. That's good. Like, oh, that's transition riff. Oh, yeah, that transition riff that'll work for that, And then you hear it and it's like you've written it, so there you go. I'm set. That's the structure of how it's going to be. That's the song now. And then it develops. No one says anything, and then it's shit. We had a song that was written ages ago. Um, You'll like it, Kyle. It's being produced at the moment, so it's going to
Mad.
be released soon. But yeah, one of my brother's friends turned around and was like, "Yeah, it's a bit of a boring song. Like, yeah, intro's a bit shit. This,
And then
that, the
everyone's
other.
like,
Blah blah
shut.
blah."
Everyone in the band's like, shut. Fuck. You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
No, it
Ah.
was good. Actually, like Craig came in and he goes, I'll tell you the title track. It's called Waves. He goes, Waves is boring as batshit. We need to like do something. And then I honed in on some like butterfly effect carnival sort of feels. Was just mucking around. He goes, that's it. I went, okay, let's go. And wrote continue on from there, wrote that. And 4 years later, so like we'd recorded it, put everything down. It was actually pretty much ready to release. And then my brother goes, don't like the bass for this song. I don't like what I've recorded for it. You reckon you could write a bass lick for it? You reckon you could write some accompanying bass? So we sat down, we did probably about, maybe 3, 4 sessions, went over some stuff, just like sat in this room with the song playing in the background and just recording an hour, 2 hours worth of different sort of things. Went, that works, that's good. Recorded it, got the outputted song back, and went, holy fuck, this song just went to another level just from a micro change.
Yep.
And it's like that review of listening back, it's boring. Yeah, okay, let's change it. Let's work
It's
on
constructive criticism, man. It's when everyone
Exactly.
sits there and you sit there and you take it back and you go, yeah, it is. I get
Yeah.
what this person's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so tricky to do, but anyway, yep. Let's keep going there. What's
Last
the third one? What's your
third
third one?
one. The current state of Sydney losing its venues because of buildings being built and people complaining, noise complaints. Like, fuck that shit right off. The amount of venues that we've lost as a result of, people not appreciating live
Let me make
music.
this. Let me make this abundantly clear.
Let me make you big, Raph. Hold on. There you
Let me
big
make
now.
this abundantly clear. I know that probably no one that doesn't like music is actually going to see this, but I don't give a shit. If you move into a building near a live music venue or a pub or anything that's been an institution for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, if it was there the day before you moved in, don't fucking complain that there is noise from said venue. You move to these areas. For a lot of people, they want to move to these areas for the nightlife and then complain that there's nightlife. They want to move to these areas. The nightlife is what makes these areas so desirable. The fact that it's so close to all these things. And if you want to move in there and make noise complaints, knowing full well that that venue was there before you moved in, you are the worst kind of person in the world. I hope your pillow is always warm. I hope your tea is always cold. I hope your socks are always wet. And I hope you stub your little toe on every fucking coffee table that you walk past for the rest of your goddamn life.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. Yeah, hit
Wow.
it. Hit it. I don't think I could have said that any better.
On your bloodline!
Yes. I agree wholeheartedly. It's, yeah.
It's so frustrating. Like, so many venues that are just getting cut down that is, supporting the grassroots bands, and
Clip that, by the way. We'll put that on
Yeah, we
on
will.
Facebook.
We will.
that's
We
good.
will.
That is good.
But yes, sorry, I don't mean to take over your bit, but
No, it's frustrating, man. It's so frustrating. I just it's hard enough as it is to try and get traction on shows and gigs, and like there's some fucking amazing people out there that are putting stuff on. Shout out to Lance for Ram It Down, to Cassie that's involved there as well. Kyle, you're a big promoter of that as well, man. And that's local community. You've even got Resurgence, which is putting on young acts, and then other bands as well. I wouldn't have met half the people out of Western Sydney that are supporting us now, and so forth, without those people putting on those shows. You got Tom from Grindhouse Productions. Like they're killing it. Like they're putting on so many good bands, and it's funny looking at like the comment section for some of the bands that get put on and people complaining and this, that, the other. But I think it also comes hand in hand where we can have a good scene if people put the hard work in. If you want to be a musician, if you want to make music as not necessarily a living, but on the side, to get some momentum and put your love out there and your production out there, make sure you're putting that effort in. So when you do perform live, you have a stage show. It comes back to that tool conversation, and that's why, as Kyle's saying, we put every last ounce of energy into our show so that people can lose their shit. Because you know what, I fucking love my music. I love my band. I think we've got a lot of opportunity to be able to do something that's different, and spanned out into a different space and give metal a different subgenre or whatever it might be. But I love playing guitar and I love playing to a crowd. I love watching people move about. So I'm going to give you and I'm going to give everyone there every bit of ounce of energy that I can possibly give. So when you talk to me at the end of the show, if I'm if I'm like not talking back, it's just because I got no energy.
They T-Rex Autopsy do give everything they got, no matter how big the show, no matter how small the crowd. It doesn't matter. It's as soon as the first notes hit, the energy is at 11.
There's a thing that I learned when I was probably about 15, 16. I was doing acoustic gigs, and I remember it was like, those battle of the band sort of thing situations. I remember talking to one of the judges afterwards, and he goes, "You captured everyone in the front row. You captured up until me. You captured up to this point, but you didn't get the last guy at the back of the room." And he goes, "That's the person you need to get, because if you get the back of the room, you've got the front of the room as well." And it's stuck with me for the last 15, 16 years of performing. And that's my goal. That's the goal, is if you get to one person, like you can play in front of 100, 200, however many people it is, but if you get one person at that show that likes it and they enjoyed it and they're a fan, your job's done. And that's what you should be always trying to do, is get one person.
100%.
That's it. That's it. I mean, I always kind of once look. When we all start out doing music, we all hope naively that one day that we'll be the exception and that we'll be the band that makes it big, right?
Yeah.
Like we'll be the one that it happens to because we're special. Like we always think that starting out. And look, then we kind of get a bit older into it and we have this realization that, okay, look, probably never going to happen, so I'm just going to get real crazy with everything I've got left. You either quit or you get more intense and crazy with whatever you're doing because you want to put you want to let your artistic vision be free without the hindrance of trying to quote unquote make it.
Cool.
And for me, look, as stupid as it sounds, as egotistical as it sounds, once I hit that point of realizing I wasn't going to be one of those ones that makes it, my whole thing was, if what I'm doing can inspire someone else to go out and want to do music and continue that on, I've achieved what I want to.
And that's the most purest thing that you can go into with those intentions.
That to me, and it's like I'm not saying that I'm playing my music doing my music for other people. I'm doing my music for me still, but what in terms of the legacy that I want to leave, that if I can do that, then whether I know it or not, whether I ever find out about it or not, I don't care.
Yeah.
If I can have achieved that, then I will be happy with the legacy that I have left musically.
That's it, man. And that's all you should be.
Like I said, it sounds stupid for someone that's, only achieved what the levels that I've achieved. Like I've not achieved notoriety of any significance, I don't feel. But
hey, you've got
that's a personal goal.
You're doing something that not a lot of other people are doing though as well. Like you have.
Well, what, two white dudes on a podcast? Yeah, no one
talking shit about music, bro. We had the most natural conversation about music and about merch. Like none of this has been scripted. None of this has been set up that we're gonna talk about these things. There's obviously a little bit of an idea on where you want to steer the conversation. It's like playing a D&D campaign. You got the idea of what the quest is going to be and where you want to get to.
Grew up on classical music and musical theatre, and now plays in a prog band and likes D&D.
You're a package. You're a package. You're a package.
Shocks keep fucking coming.
Honestly. Maybe we have to start a D&D campaign and start.
We do.
Maybe we'll do that. We'll put that behind the Patreon.
We do. Yeah, that'd be great. Let other people jump in.
By the way, yes, we're looking at doing a Patreon.
Yeah, so keep an eye for that soon.
Keep an eye for that soon.
But you're giving a platform for a voice, right? Like, honestly, I have been so excited to jump on this show. From the level of conversations that Kyle and I have had, he's told me all about yourself multiple times.
My boy, man.
So
you talking about me, bro?
Yeah, you're my boy.
You're talking about me behind my back, bro.
It's all negative.
Oh, it's on, man.
I'm gonna take over the podcast.
I'm getting in the fucking car right now. I'll see you in 12 hours, motherfucker. This is.
Shit.
But you guys are doing something special, man. Like, Kyle's got his space in terms of, and hit Beer Buddy up on Facebook if you're wanting videography done for your band, because it's phenomenal. The shit that he captures
I appreciate that.
is great. So you've given us that TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and socials, an area for us to be able to then like promote what a show looks like, because it's so hard to do yourself. I've done so much video editing for like the band, and I get to this point where I'm sitting there like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I've got work the next day, and I'm still not done. And like, fuck, like I'm trying to learn it whilst also trying to learn shit on my guitar, whilst trying to write new music. It's
Man,
like
that's
you
the
need a
big thing.
team.
That's the big thing, and that's what I'm trying to do as a side gig, is trying to give people that I want people to understand what they're missing
Yeah,
with these
yeah.
bands. When you go, I missed them at Elton Chong's that weekend, I've got to go see them at the next one, or next time they're playing at Elton Chong's, I'm 100% going.
It's awesome because actually, like when I went to Bring Me the Horizon and Sleep Token, uh, there was this little joke that my mate and I ended up having, because every 5 meters that I walked, I bumped into someone that either knew me or I knew, and I had some random person like come up to me and like tap me on the shoulder and go, "You're Ross Bailey. I follow you and T-Rex Autopsy on Instagram." I've never met that person in my life, um, and I'm just like, "Oh." Like great stuff's coming up, enjoying your music. Love the video that you had for your live stuff. I'm like, so
So
humbled.
was that the first fan in the wild?
No, not necessarily. I've had a couple of people like I get, yeah, actually in terms of a fan, yeah, I guess I would put it down to I'd put it down to that. I've had people like pick me out and be like, "Oh, you're Ross from T-Rex Autopsy," and like, "Oh, I caught your show," and blah 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 blah. But some being at like that was at like smaller events and stuff like that, or like a smaller show and that, and in the pit obviously. But this was like kudos, Bakerita, like walking around like where all the beer is. So to get picked out like that
That's mad.
was awesome. Yeah, it was like a little bit of me was like, oh, that's cool. Um, but
It's so funny.
without
It's so funny. I walk past. Sorry to jump. I think I only ever saw someone wearing a Tensions Arise shirt in the wild, not at a gig, one time. I walked past him, pointed at the shirt. I was like, "Hey," and they looked at me. They're like, "I have no fucking clue who you are. Why are you pointing at my shirt?" And I'm like, "Motherfucker, that's me!
that's my
That's
band,
me,
motherfucker.
I'm
motherfucker!"
in the shirt. I'm literally on you.
No, unfortunately, we didn't have ourselves on the
Uh,
shirts at
Oh,
that point in time.
it would have
That was
been funny if you were on the shirt. You're like,
if I'd
who the
been
fuck are
on
you?
if I had been on the t-shirt and that motherfucker didn't recognize me, I would have been like, "Oi!"
Give me the
I would
shirt.
have
You don't
grabbed him.
deserve it.
I would have grabbed him and been like, "Fucking look,
Yeah.
with your eyes, motherfucker."
There's a thing
Oh.
that you said that really resonates with me about like legacy and that, but it's not necessarily about legacy as much for myself with it.
And that's the thing. I don't think of it in an egotistical way. I'm just
No,
saying.
no, no, of course not.
I think everyone wants
We
to
want to put our stamp
Everyone
on
wants
things.
the
leave.
We want
Everyone
to
legacy.
wants to leave a mark in
we want
someone.
to leave a mark, yeah, exactly. But
And that for me, like for me, maybe it's TMI. I've decided don't want to ever have kids. Um, that's the decision I've made for myself,
mm,
and I've made sure that that's a permanent decision. If you follow me, and so my quote unquote legacy on the world will be
your music.
music,
Mm.
whatever the fallout from my musical endeavors are, and whatever crazy uncle influence I can have on my nephews.
Fuck
Um,
yeah. Fuck
and
yeah.
you know, like to the point where when my youngest nephew was born, I sent them. I don't know if you've heard about this. There's this thing called
Rockabye
Rockabye Baby,
baby.
and they do nursery music versions
Of your songs.
Of metal
of
songs.
metal songs and rock songs.
My
So they
kids,
do
my
like
kids grew up listening to that. My kids
no
grew up
lyrics,
listening to. It's all
no
done on
lyrics. But
xylophones
well, yeah,
and
xylophones and glockenspiels and stuff. But
yeah,
it's like they do the
it's
vocal
adorable.
melody and
I
the
love
riffs and
that.
stuff. It's amazing. And I got those, and I said, look, this is some nursery music for them. Like it's rock music, but it's in nursery music format. Just some cool music for them. I got that and look, I don't think my sister's ever going to see this, but if she does, I'm sorry that I did this. I got that on the hope that those melodies would be implanted in the depths of their developing little brains,
Fuck yeah.
in their back of their unconscious mind, right? So as they get older, maybe when they get to be, sort of 7 or 8 years old, 9 or 10 maybe, and they're starting to explore music and take an interest there, they hear the actual version of the song.
Mm.
And without knowing why, they feel a distinct comfort and
Connection.
connection with the song.
Yeah.
So I have brainwashed, hopefully, my nephews
Hey, it works. I did it
from
to my
birth,
No,
kids.
from birth, hopefully into liking metal and rock music.
it's
You've done
it's
it.
interesting you say that because like I had this moment when we've obviously like been ramping up the promotion for the new shirts and stuff, and my niece messaged me and goes, "Where do I get a shirt?" And I'm like, "You're 18 years old now." She's not big into metal or anything like that. She's starting to get into it, which is cool. I'm not pushing it. She's discovering a lot of stuff on her own. My nephew even has started to like get into it. Like he was like, "Oh, I do like that Falling in Reverse song," and I was like, "Oh, well, here, like, let me show you Architects." And then he's like, "Okay, this is cool." He's more like rap R&B is what he's listening
New
and stuff
metal is
is.
your path forward there, my friend.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
New
yeah,
metal.
yeah. Don't worry. I was like Linkin Park. He's like,
Limp
I was like,
Bizkit.
oh. Well, I bridged into Limp Bizkit. What I did was I got the track where they're with Wu-Tang Clan.
Shut the fuck up.
But also, you want to grab the Corn songs, like so where Corn had like Ice Cube.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
fuck dying.
When
Now
they
we could
had,
use Alpha Wolf.
you know,
Shout out for them having Ice-T on that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then
That was awesome.
you got the whole little Uzi Vert thing doing the thing with Bring Me the Horizon.
Yep.
Yep. There's ways there. You got Tech Nine
This,
doing.
this,
Tech Nine did a track with Five Finger Death Punch.
Or just
And
Tech Nine
with
in general.
Surge, and
Yeah.
with Corey Taylor. Like
Mm.
there's all these connections
there's
there.
bridges. There's bridges there.
There is bridges. You can.
You
do
could
it.
even you could
Yeah.
even go you could even go right back and just go like Run DMC and bloody the other
Aerosmith.
yeah, and then go
Yep.
Anthrax and Public
Anthrax.
Enemy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Public Enemy.
Yep. There's
Yeah,
a
we're
lot
bridging
there. There's lots of connections there you can do. Anyway, look, I hate I'm having so much fun. I
Yeah,
really am
it's a good
having so much
chat.
fun. And we could probably talk for another several hours if we
Just means we've got to get them back on again with more of the members.
Exactly. Look, this has been going for quite a while now. We've been taking up quite a lot of your night, so we do need to wrap this one
No,
up.
it's all good. Thanks,
But,
man.
Look, honestly, legitimately, this has been amazing. I feel like there's a lot of we're on the same wavelength about so much there. And as Kyle said, happy to have you back literally anytime. Anytime that you've got something to
boys.
promote, or if you just want to shoot the shit, hit us up. We'll be more
Come
than
back
happy
when
to
the
have
new
you back
album
on.
comes out.
Yeah,
We will-
definitely,
yep,
definitely.
we will-
That's
we
and
will-
look, that's not far off, man.
Good.
go.
Yeah, and then we're gonna be in the studio doing the second album, so
Nice.
it'll be coming soon. But
But go and follow T-Rex Autopsy on all the socials. Please go and do that because you want to pay attention. It's I've gone and followed him now. I'm going to make sure I check out the stuff that's been released so far. I'm really, really keen to do all of that. From what I heard before, it sounds quite quite cool, quite fun. So I'm going to check that out for sure. And definitely, we will keep you in mind for if we have to do some reactions and one of us can't make them. We'll definitely get you in as
down.
as a guest. I
Mad.
think that'll be pretty cool.
I'm
I think
down.
there'll be a lot of analysis that we can get out of that. That'd be really, really cool. Other than the album that's going to be coming soon and getting people to follow you on the socials, what's the gigs you've got coming up?
Yeah, we're playing down in Wollongong with the Age of Emergence show. So that'll be on Friday the 26th of April.
Isn't that with Piston Fist?
Yep, Piston
That's-
Fist, Carbon
yeah.
Black, tomorrow's
Yeah.
format.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be
Cool.
down at that one.
Oh fuck yeah! I'm looking forward to it. We haven't seen the Carbon Black Boys for a while, and we get along really, really well with them. They're
I can't wait to see
Great.
Piston Fist again.
Let me
Great
tell
bunch
you
of
this,
boys.
right? Let me tell you this about Carbon Black. I was there at the start with those guys. I was there before Carbon Black. We played Tensions Arise played with Necrofeist, which was Carbon Black before Carbon Black. So
Oh, that's gold.
like, I was there at the beginning of that shit.
Carbon Black actually had my favorite band shirt. It's very hard to beat. It's just a VB coloured shirt and
It's such a good shirt.
CB.
That's great.
Perfect.
It's my
And
favorite shirt.
they make a pretty good Pantera tribute band too.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, love those boys. Really hard working.
Yeah, we got that, and then we're playing at the Duke May 11th. So they're the real two close shows. We've got a couple of others
nice.
that have been organised as well. We're gonna play. We'll do the other Age of Emergence show in June, July with at the Mosh Pit. So that'll be the Sydney leg, which will be good. But yeah, there's a lot more shows getting organised. We're doing a headline show at Elton Chong's too. Shout out to that venue. Those guys
I
fucking rock.
love that venue. That's my favourite venue in Sydney now.
They're- I like playing on the bar, man. It's great.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Go check out some videos that I've made from there. They're fucking cool.
Good shit. So yeah, go out and follow T-Rex Autopsy on all the socials. If you had a good time with this interview, if you're still watching and you're not subscribed, like, what are you doing? Like, come on, hit the
Come on,
fucking
Yeah,
like.
come on, you gotta
Please,
subscribe.
please.
I think you've gotten enough out of this if you've watched the whole thing and gotten to this point that we deserve a subscribe. So please hit the subscribe button for me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ross. Very much appreciated. Really, really had a great time talking to you. Thank you so much to my co-host Kyle,
Thank
aka
you,
the
Raph.
Beer Buddy himself. Thank you for watching. I am the Reverend Raph, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Peace.